Hello everybody, and welcome back to the campaign. It is session 3. The party are running for their lives away from orc slavers who have been, well, for the most part, trying to keep them imprisoned. But 3 of our adventurers have managed to escape, and using everything and anything that they have at their disposal, they are trying to make their way to civilization, wherever that may be. We are joined by Duncan, Norman, and Isabel for the beginning of this session, but hopefully we can introduce our 4th and newest member at some point during this session. So guys, we left off. It's late in the day, it's getting dark outside, and you guys are now hiding in a hovel under a tree in a very shallow cave, and you're just kind of, sitting down, obviously like eating a ration, drinking some water, and preparing yourself the day ahead. Is there anything that your characters would like to do before they actually begin to rest?
Um,
Anything that strikes any of you?
I'm just
Uh,
thinking. Sorry, go on.
I could probably try to gather some foliage or something that I could use as a blanket real quickly before we get down to resting.
Yeah, so like there are some trees outside. I mean, you're obviously on top of below a tree right now. So, yeah, you just snap off some of the branches and kind of create like a little bit of a covering for the entryway. Make it a little bit more difficult for anything to really spot where you guys are. Anything else?
I mean, to be completely honest, Duncan, I was thinking at the end of last session even that Duncan was probably just going to collapse and almost immediately fall asleep.
Yeah, and I think, and if that's what you think makes sense, then I'm very happy for you to be doing that. Um, so you kind of pass out. Norman, you're kind of getting a bit of brush before going to sleep. What about you, Isabel?
Um, I think we should set up watches, so I'm gonna take first watch,
Okay.
especially since I don't have any attrition yet.
Yeah. Yeah, so the rules of Shadowdark are very simple. Injured characters can rest to recover from their wounds. To rest, the character must consume a ration and sleep for 8 hours. Sleep can be broken up for light and routine tasks, such as taking a turn on watch. So, you're going to take a turn on watch. Does anybody else want to take a turn on watch?
I mean, if you guys wake me up and tell me to do so, I'll probably do it, but
I
that's
suppose
up to
I
you.
could. I don't have any food, by the way, so if anybody
Ooh.
has something that they could possibly be kind enough to give me, then that would be greatly appreciated. Otherwise, I'm willing to go hungry for another night here.
I do recall that we found berries last session.
You did
Oh,
find
right, we did.
berries. You did find berries last session. I will say, guys, there is one thing that you do need to do, and I know how strenuous and dangerous this would be to do, but in order to rest efficiently in this biome, because the temperature is actually plummeting right now, it's getting very very cold here, as it does in many very arid, dry, desert-like areas. You guys need a campfire. You need a heat source. Otherwise, you will not be able to recover from your wounds. Actually, your wounds will just deteriorate worse. You won't be able to rest properly. Your body will be too cold. And to do so, that does require either, if you guys want to be creative, you could come up with some other way. But the way that is instructed is that you can use a number of torches in order to make a campfire. This is 3 torches. 1, 2, 3.
I don't think I have any torches here, but what's the count that everybody else here has?
I don't have
I'm
any
out of
torches.
torches.
We have almost nothing. We got the clothes on our backs.
Damn right. Okay, so I'm pretty sure there were torches in the cleric's backpack, weren't there? But he died when you guys were trying to escape. So
Thanks for
what
reminding
would
me about that.
what would you guys like to do? You do need a heat source.
Norman could try to get together as much dry sticks as he can and try to use the friction method to try to start a fire.
Yeah, sounds good. How about you roll me a intelligence check, please?
Can I have advantage for bushcraft?
Yes, of course. Thank you for asking. That is initiative. That is not intelligence.
My bad,
But,
my bad.
But you did roll a 14, which has a bonus of +2. That would be a 16. If you make a mistake on your roll, I still use the roll. I don't let you re-roll, just for future reference, guys. Because that could be quite cheeky, right? You might end up getting a better roll if you roll again. But no, 16 is good. And it doesn't take you long to light a small and controllable fire within the hovel. It is producing a bit of smoke, but not too much. You've now got warmth. You've got berries, which you guys are eating. You actually, like you said, you foraged those berries at the end of last session. And you guys now hold out through the night. You don't know if the orcs are on your trail. Clearly they are pursuing you, but where are they? And there is a bit of nervousness, especially amongst those of you who are still conscious, wondering whether they will find you tonight. I'm going to roll a couple of checks, and we'll find out. Okay. So, the night now begins to roll by. It's darker and darker, till all you can hear are the birds, the sounds of coyotes off in the distance. Occasionally you hear the sound of an animal crying out, being killed by, assumedly, a predator. But you hear no orcs as the night rolls by. You all drift into a sleep. Then suddenly, it's dawn. You wake up feeling refreshed, recovered, and ready for the day ahead. Seems as the orcs did not find you after all. Lucky you. So, you're all awake, rearing to go. Anything you guys want to do before you start moving?
Put my armor on.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. I was going to say, if I may, roll that hit point dice, since we got a full rest.
Do it now.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you guys want to recover your health, this is not raw Shadowdark for anybody who's watching. I've made a little bit of adjustment. I don't really like the idea that players can just full heal after a rest. It doesn't really take into account things like attrition and like getting beat up by a dragon. It doesn't make sense that you get beat up by a dragon and then the next day you're just at 100, you're at a full health, you're not got a scratch on you. So what I have them do, rather than full healing, they just roll their hit dice. So if they're a fighter and they've got a d8, they just roll a d8. And considering that these characters don't all necessarily have their maximum HP, because obviously you roll for your hit points, don't you, in Shadowdark. For many of them, it probably will give them all their health back. But it's not guaranteed. But in Isabel's case, it is. It is guaranteed for Isabel. And Norman's looking better as well. Duncan's back up to full strength. Very, very good, guys.
Okay. So now that if I may, we're up in the morning, and I'm feeling better. Duncan will take a few moments to scrounge around and look for some, I guess, fibrous plants that I might be able to use to wrap around my my tree branch improvised weapon to make it a bit more solid.
That's a really interesting idea. Roll me a intelligence check as you now kind of look at the nearby area, looking for anything that could be, well, effectively used for such purpose.
I
You get
Duncan
some.
curses.
I was going to say you do manage to get some sticks and some very, very, very thin branches that you're able to kind of wrap around your weapon. How useful it will be, you're not sure, but it's better than nothing.
Duncan curses his luck and, probably says the same thing to himself. It's better than nothing.
Yeah, you've got this improvised weapon, this branch where every time you use it, there's a 3 in 6 chance it will break. Only on a hit though. If you miss, then obviously it'll be fine. But if there's nothing else, you guys now set out. And in what direction would you like to head? Let's bring you guys to the map. You guys can look at the map. Your end goal from this adventure, from your job that you guys were on originally, was to head to the the keep of Sunstone, which is just on the river, and you guys kind of set out from the settlement just to the north of Dusthaven. So, it's a bit of a trek, a fair few hexes, and it didn't take long for the greenskins to ambush you guys. You haven't really fully figured out where you are, but I think some of you might have a little bit of an idea of where you could be. Remember, you are still in the forest, so in what direction would you like to go?
I feel like
Don't-
west would probably be the best way to go at this point here. Considering where most of the foliage is. We also said that we saw some hills, so I think we're probably around like somewhere around this area.
Travel north until we hit the river.
I was having the same sort of thought. I was thinking maybe Duncan might ask you guys if actually anyone can figure out where north is, and we go sort of north until we hit the water, like what Isabel said, so that we can orientate ourselves with a central sort of landmark.
I
That's a
actually
good
like
idea.
that idea better. Yeah, I think we're in agreement on that.
But I mean, we've got to figure out where north is first, because I'm not sure if Duncan even knows.
Yeah, so you guys could actually roll. Let me just do this really quickly. You guys could, the navigator of your group could roll an intelligence check to see if they can kind of discern where they are and where to go. So which one of you is the navigator here?
Probably best to be me, considering I have advantage on navigation-related checks. Yeah, should I roll intelligence?
Yeah, please.
One sec, I need to find my token here.
Right at the bottom. You okay?
Yeah, well, my token's not on this map, right? So,
it's right at the bottom. You need to listen to what I said. It's right at the
sorry.
bottom. Scroll down.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
There you go. You got it. Fantastic. All right. So, with that in mind, you now climb one of the nearby trees. And above the canopy, you can see for quite a good distance. And would you be able to see that? Probably not. But what I will say is this. You get the impression that you know which way north is. And you hope that you are correct in what you believe. You come back down the tree, and I imagine you are now ready to head out and lead the party forward.
I do so.
Fantastic. So, you now work your way through the remainder of the woods. The woods gets kind of lighter and lighter until it is incredibly sparse in this space. You don't really come across any animals nor anything that you can really collect, but you do leave the forest behind you. And as you kind of come out of the forest and look off into the yonder, you see signs of life ahead. There appears to be a dirt path that actually leads down from the entry of the forest near where you guys came out. It seems to run down the nearby hill towards, well, the direction of which you are currently going. Maybe it leads somewhere.
Well, Duncan would certainly suggest to the others, I reckon we follow that. What do you guys think?
Norman's in agreement.
Very cool. Roll me another intelligence check now. You navigate every single hex that you pass through, and as long as you succeed, you guys will stay on the path of which you have kind of set for yourselves. 15. Very good. You now continue forth, and as the day now runs by, hour after hour, you eventually find yourselves getting tired by the edge of the river. You've made it, and you seem to be at a turn in the river. It seems to be arcing down, and it seems to be getting gradually wider, as if perhaps it might be the mouth of the river. And that seems a bit unusual to a few of you who think perhaps you might be in a different location, but every indication looking at this river is that you are quite close to the lake. I'll roll one more check. Okay. No, I said, sorry, I was rolling a check.
Oh, my bad, my bad.
Thanks for rolling that, I appreciate it. But it is now dark, and this area, unfortunately, is very open. There really isn't much in way of, buildings or caves or any terrain that you can really hide behind. The only thing you can really do is dig yourself a hole and hide in it, or just set up a campfire and, lay next to it.
Can we keep pushing on?
It's been 8 hours. Your characters are tired. I don't think you can push on. I don't think there's a... you know what, this is Shadowdark. This isn't just, I don't know what to do. Give me a second. Sure, you know what? I'll let you guys push on. But I will have you guys roll checks for attrition. Okay?
Yep, that's
Fine by
fair.
me.
Which direction would you like to go in?
The opposite direction that the water is flowing towards. So the
Do you want
opposite direction.
You want to
of
go? You want to go upriver then, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, and you're all in agreement with that?
Yep.
Cool.
Well,
You could...
Yeah, sure.
You got a counterpoint, Duncan?
Well, no, it's just like I'm trying not to, I'm trying my best not to look at the map and think, oh, there's a big city there, we should go that way. So Duncan's opinion is right is as good as left because it looks the same both ways, except that left heads towards the lake. That's the really only defining factor.
Right.
That's why yeah, sure, let's go right.
I will say, you do need to roll me your navigation check now, Norman.
All right.
Very good. It's a 19. I would like each of you guys to please roll me a con check. The DC is going to be 18 for this.
Ooh.
I'm gonna use my inspiration for this. For my
Your luck.
and-
Yeah, you can use it after the fact, so you don't need to roll unless you fail.
Keep in mind, I already have a point of attrition, so this roll is -1, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
Well,
need to roll
let's give it
a
shot.
19 or higher. Oh, oh no! You rolled an 18.
A valiant
Um,
attempt.
Definitely. Alrighty, so you all do unfortunately fail, and in the process you accumulate 2 levels of attrition. I'm now going to roll for a random encounter. You now push through the evening. The temperature gets colder and it gets darker. You guys are running through this arid landscape, barely clothed, hungry, thirsty, no equipment to really help you. I mean, Duncan doesn't even have any shoes on, right? That's how bad this is right now. And you're just looking for anything, anyone who can save you guys. And as it now reaches close to midnight, you can see the moon high in the sky. It's getting so cold at this point that you're shaking. All of you are shaking, shivering. You suddenly kind of drop to the ground, Norman, and just kind of look at your hands in the muck. And then suddenly you kind of look forward towards the direction that you're going. You can see light flickering.
Look, on the edge of the horizon. Oh, can I see anything more than the light? Can I see like walls or
You see-
anything?
You see light, and it's getting brighter and closer, as if it's being held by something, and that something is approaching you guys.
I think the orcs are here. Everybody, come on.
Well, Duncan would, even though he's really feeling it, he'll try to put on the man pants and, he calls out to the empty air, just sort of shivering. Hark! Who goes out there in the desert at this time of night?
Pause for a moment, and then suddenly, are you lot humans?
As the day I was born.
And you now kind of, the light finally kind of gives you a full kind of detailing of what is approaching. You see armed soldiers, human, and they seem to have heraldry on their shields as well as on their leather armor that they're wearing. And the men approach you guys, a light ever so blinding, and you realize you're saved. The men explain that they are border guards of Sunstone, and this is one of their patrol patterns that they do at night to protect the nearby keep from attackers. After a brief conversation, you guys are escorted to Sunstone itself, which is only 1 hex away. You already made most of the way there yourselves, but they help you get the extra bit that you needed to arrive at the keep. And what you see is a small town that surrounds this keep. People who are obviously flocking for the defense that the keep brings. The buildings are made of sandstone mainly, and are almost a gold and white in colour. They are incredibly beautiful, the buildings, and obviously this isn't a stereotypical English setting despite the English names. This is more Lawrence of Arabia, right, where it's definitely more arid and Mediterranean in appeal. But the keep itself is also, Anatolia would be a great example as well. That is technically a Mediterranean country, but yes. And the actual keep itself, made of the same material, is just this beacon, this bastion of light and hope and like lore in this region. All you guys really knew about Sunstone upon taking the job to escort the caravan was that it is the defensive structure that kind of allows people to cross the river, the main bridge that allows access into the kind of northern barony, which is called Lionheart Barony. And you guys are here. And you're not just like left to your own affairs, you're actually brought somewhere to rest, basically like the sick bay where the injured people are brought to, people who are sick and dying, and you guys are kind of handed over to the people there, and they give you a bed, they give you some very, very basic food, and you guys are able to rest for the night. That mind, I'm going to shift music, and I think we'll start something a little bit different. Give me a second just to see if I do! Very good! It wouldn't be a campaign if we didn't have some medieval town ambience. So, you've now arrived in Sunstone, and you have managed to survive being prisoners of greenskins. And you've never been here before, and you're looking a bit sheepish, right? You've got no money to your name, you've lost all of your possessions, and you're in a place that is foreign to you. You've got no family here, no friends, no allies. You do have each other, and you have obviously kind of formed the bonds of camaraderie through what has happened more recently. But I'd like to now throw things over to you guys. Now that you're discharged from the sick tent, you know, the area where they keep all the people who are unwell, you're all kind of grouped up. What would you like to do? Where would you like to go? There are shops here, there are taverns. There seems to be quite a lot going on. Worth mentioning, guys, you did have a rest, so you can mark off a level of attrition. You guys are probably not in any real state to be adventuring right now this second, but that doesn't mean that you can't walk around, see what Sunstone has to offer, and figure out what you guys want to do next.
Can I roll for my hit points here?
Yep. I do want to reiterate, guys, you got quite lucky with the random encounter rolls. It seems you managed to outrun the orcs in the end. Good for you.
All right.
I want to look for like kind of like a pawnbroker type thing, or like a bowyer, so I can sell the longbow. and
Good
arrows.
idea. Good idea. Yeah, you could definitely sell the bow. I don't see why you couldn't. There are definitely bowyers or bowyers even in town. So would you like to go and sell the bow, yeah?
Yeah,
Alright, fantastic.
and then I'm gonna look for a Fletcher to go sell arrows too.
You want to sell the arrows as well?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What about the rest of you guys whilst I'm pulling up the prices of bows and arrows? What are you guys thinking?
Well, Duncan knows what he does best, and so he shall look around town, for, and probably might even find it quicker than what he thinks, for a local militia to put his name down for work. He is a young man with a sturdy branch and a strong arm.
Very good. We like that. And what about you, Norman?
I feel like Norman and Duncan are probably gonna be going and doing the same thing. We're both ship broke. We have nothing to our names, and the only way that we're going to get back on our feet is putting ourselves to work.
Alrighty. So, that sounds pretty straightforward. Isabel, would you like to join them once you've sold your bow?
Yeah, and I'm gonna give them each 10 silver apiece.
Nice.
Sweet.
You hear that, guys? So each of you get 10 silver pieces, which will hopefully help you guys pay for your lodging moving forward. The taverns around here aren't too expensive, but you know, you do obviously need money in order to be able to suffice. Be aware, guys, the downtime system will come into effect once you actually have money in order to perform downtimes, which you currently do not. But I will say that you guys now head to the local garrison, which is, in fact, yes, a part of the installation of the keep. It's one of the kind of outer wings of the keep that a lot of the men are trained in, as well as where a lot of the men sleep as well. They have like a barracks there. And give me 1 second. As you guys approach, you see a large crowd has formed. You hear men and women shouting and cursing, jeering, and they all seem to be focusing their attention towards a number of the town officials who seem to be attempting to shout them down, as you can imagine. Would you guys like to approach and see what's going on?
I'll listen
I
in.
will.
So, you notice that the crowd is, you know, from various classes of wealth. There are, you know, all sorts of people here. It seems all have been affected by this recent happening, the thing that they are obviously unhappy about. And you learn very quickly the following. We're tired of all these greenskins attacking the roads. How are we supposed to go back to our families, back to our villages, if we're having to worry all the time about what's going to be happening when we get out there? Why aren't you giving us more protection? Why? And you just hear screaming and heckling from all the people. How am I supposed to get my sheep back? They've just been sitting around for 5 days, they have. 5 days! And lots of other people all shouting their own personal stories at these officials. The officials are trying to shout them down and say, you know, it's all under the control of the border patrol. We will take care of it. It's not a big deal. But the mob is tenacious and loud, and they seem to be growing ever bigger as more people seem to kind of flood into it, realizing that maybe something might happen. Eventually, the officials now... I can hear myself. Why can I hear myself? Okay, there we go. Good. the officials now kind of push out their hands, and the person who appears to be the bailiff of the town says, I don't think any of you guys should worry. We're going to be setting up a new bounty soon. A better one. Hopefully more individuals, sell swords and the lot, will come forward and help us with this issue. And immediately you hear shouting from people saying, why can't the border patrol do it? You guys have been trained to do this, why can't you do it? And obviously the town officials are kind of ignoring that for their own reasons. But the town officials now kind of back off, and the mob now continues to shout and scream. What would you guys like to do at this point? There are still some local men and women of the town guard kind of in the area. They are a little bit overwhelmed by the... What are these?
I know what I'd like to do. I want to go find that official and have a little talk with him.
I want to go talk to the. I want to go inquire with the crowd about the bounties.
Okay, so what questions do you have, Isabel?
Yeah, I'll just walk
What
up
do you want to do?
Yeah, I'll just walk up to the crowd and look for probably the most senior person there. Hi, my name's Isabel. I overheard something about a bounty. Can you tell me more about that?
This guy seems to be a merchant, higher stock, probably works with, you know, more luxury goods. He says, there's been a bounty in Sunstone for many months now. But it seems the commander and the lord do not really want to empty their pockets. Sellswords would rather go elsewhere and help other people, when it's us that are the neediest. It's us that need help the most.
Yes, it is you that needs help the most.
And he pauses for a moment as he kind of bites into a piece of chicken. As I am right now, IRL. And he says, how are we supposed to make sure that Sunstone is supplied if the roads are being all caught up with monsters? I was expecting, only a few days ago, a shipment from the south. Alcohol, spices, things to make the people of this town happy. And look what they've got instead. Nothing.
Is the merchant that hired us?
But it's not the merchant that, as well, you don't know who hired you. You just got hired by like an underling. But you get the impression this guy might be the big cheese.
I was in a caravan a few days ago, traveling north here to Sunstone.
Did the caravan have spiced rum in it?
Do I know that?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, it had spiced rum.
And I'm guessing it got caught up.
Yes, my companions and I barely escaped with our lives after being captured by the orcs.
And he pauses for a moment. Will you roll me a charisma check? And he now kind of gets a bit cross. He scowls at you and says, well, if my man hired you, and you didn't defend it, then what are you but a coward?
I fought until I fell, and then I was captured.
Oh, that makes more sense. I thought you ran away.
No. We escaped their lairs.
And he kind of pauses and says, that must have been awfully bad. Anyway, hopefully they're going to sort out all of this Nonsense. I have work to do, money to make. If you're looking for work in the future, I'll be at the Green Halberd. And he now kind of gives you a nod and walks off.
I'll smile, nod, and then yeah, I'll start heading towards Norman or whoever.
So whilst you were doing that, Norman, you head up to the town official. It's not the bailiff, because the bailiff's fucked off, but it's one of the bailiff's underlings, basically, who kind of helps administrate the town. And as soon as you walk up, the man says, "Alright, stop right there. I think you should go back to your home, sir."
I don't have a home. I don't have a home, sir. But it seems like you have been put into a rather strange predicament here. I'd like to have a word with an official, or if not, I can speak to yourself. I have some information.
Are you
that might be
saying that
valuable.
don't look like an official? Don't you see my pin? And he points to like a little badge that he has. That says deputy, does it not?
My apologies. I'm not familiar with the way people rank their militia around here.
Get to the point. I'm a busy man.
Regardless, I have escaped from one of the orc raiders that has been targeting the caravans that have been coming this way. I have a general idea of where their lair is. If this is of interest to you, I believe it might be able to help you get a either more sell swords over here, or if you guys would like to pick up some swords yourselves, I could possibly lead you towards it.
Alright. That's very interesting that you say that. Do you have any proof that you were captured by orcs? Usually people who get captured by orcs don't live to tell the tale.
There's a raiding party that was following us up until last night while we were able to get refuge. If not, do I have like any scars or any clear signs that I've been a slave for the past few weeks here?
That's interesting. So yeah, your wrists would be like really imprinted with the manacles, right? And they would probably be like really raw. The skin would be really raw on your wrists. Did you just like pull up your sleeves and just show him your wrist and say, "This is my proof"?
Pretty much. Look at this. This is my proof to you.
All right. Put those awful-looking things away. All right. You seem to know what you're talking about. I'm sorry you had to go through that. That must have been absolutely awful. But how far away is it? Because we're not going to go up into the hills and risk the lives of many men over a hunch that there might be an orc base there.
It's not a hunch. It's a certainty. How many days did we spend? It was 1 or 2. Correct.
It was like 2, but you really pushed yourself on the second day, so it would have been like almost 2.5 days realistically.
Roughly 2.5 days travel from here.
That's quite a far way away.
Regardless, I could be a leader for the bounty if your town would like to.
I spoke
my services
to the bailiff already. He's going to be putting out a new bounty shortly. If you are looking to be a sellsword and put yourself up for hire, then obviously we'll be very interested in that. Alright? You'll have to wait like everybody else and see what the payment is going to be. I'll give you a little clue. Usually you got to bring back one of the hands of the enemy. Typically the right hand or the left hand. It's based on how the bailiff's feeling, obviously. As he obviously always wants proof that you've actually done the deed.
What if I destroy the whole base?
Then bring back as many hands as you can. You'll get a lot of money.
Very well. keep me posted. Have a good day, sir.
If you're homeless, how am I supposed to keep you posted? You have a
We'll look
temporary
around.
residence?
Am I sleeping in the hostel as of right now, or I'm just on the streets?
You're on the streets now.
I suppose I might be getting lodging at the barracks soon. Good day to you, sir.
About fucking time. And he now turns around and now puffs up his chest and trots back inside. I bet you guys now rendezvous with Norman after his exchange. And I imagine Duncan, whilst you didn't hear the entirety of Norman's exchange with one of the town officials, you did hear his very whiny voice, the town official's very whiny voice, and you did obviously notice that he and Norman had a conversation. But it's at this point the three of you now reconvene. An opportunity to roleplay, guys.
Well,
Go for it.
Duncan, for the record, was probably just standing around, trying not to stretch out his wounds. He hands by his sides, says to the others of you, "Well, it looks like we're waiting for this," he does the quotation marks, "new bounty to be put up. Don't suppose we should look around for a fourth member? Maybe bolster our numbers before we go getting hired to kill things."
Yeah, and
Probably
maybe
be a good idea.
probably go to the taverns. I've heard of one called the Green Halberd. Maybe get some lodgings as well.
Duncan sort of makes that face where you put your lips together and raise the eyebrows. Yeah, I could go for a beer.
Do we have the money for a beer right now?
Hey, it's
We've
not that expensive.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning, guys. It's coppers, right? You guys have silvers, so yeah, you could probably buy yourself some drink. I mean, the money that you've got now, guys, would probably keep you afloat for maybe a week.
all right, one beer. God knows we need it.
So, you guys now head towards the Green Halberd, which is one of the establishments in this town. There are many, but this is one of the ones that has a reputation, one that is well distinguished, and as you approach, it is a pretty extravagant sized building. It seems to have 2 stories, which is quite unlike many of the buildings in this town. And as you guys walk in, you see a large open drinking hall, a number of doors that surround this space, assumedly rooms to rest, and you see a bar stocked with kegs of different liquor. The place itself seems to be relatively busy, with close to a dozen patrons spread out across the space. Anything from soldiers, sellswords, artisans, labourers, and other tradesmen. You guys head up, and you are introduced to the tavern keeper, Old Bill. Big, very large man, getting older into his years, wrinkled face, and he's just kind of cleaning out a tankard right now, a beer glass, and he says, "You right, you lot? You want a drink? You look like you've seen hell."
And then some, my friend.
What you want? You want some beer? Or do you want some beer?
I'll take an ale over here.
And you?
I'll have some beer.
Duncan
You-
asks first. Sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Duncan asks first as he's palming at his pocket. How much is the beer?
3 coppers.
And then he asked, and a meal? I'm starving.
My wife has made a soup of the day. We got beef in it today. 4 coppers.
Duncan palms over 7.
Yeah, if you guys want to palm it over, you can do so.
How much was the beer?
3 coppers. So,
Yeah,
I will
I
give
palm
them
it over.
a piece.
what do you say, sorry, Isabel?
I'll just give over a silver piece, and they can keep the rest for a tip.
Brilliant. And I think you giving him a fair bit of money, he turns around to you. Now, you've kind of sweetened his palm, and he feels quite obliged to you guys. He says, "What are you lot doing here then? If I could say from having a look at you, you're not from round here, are you?"
I shake my head.
We used to be caravan guards, but now I suppose we're ex-slaves. The orcs, we managed to escape from one of their holdings, but
Don't use that slave word round here. There are no slaves in Sunstone. We're all free men and women.
Duncan gives a sharp smile to that. That I can agree with. I like you, old Bill. They call me Duncan. I'm from Dusthaven. Duncan of Dusthaven.
Well, you're cute, Duncan. How old are you?
Oh. He removes his leather cap. In the year of our Lord, I'm 19.
Bit on the younger side. You've got fighting experience?
I can swing a stick around. What more do I need?
He kind of, he looks at you with a look of, yeah, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And he says, and actually, you know what, guys? Just to kind of get you guys used to this idea, Isabel, you gave a little bit of extra money. Roll me a d4 for a rumour. Rumours are going to be your best friends. It will allow you guys to develop ideas of plots in the area, and then that will allow you to kind of create your own direction in this story. There's a pause, and he says, "It's only a rumour, but I've heard that the orcs have a large stronghold only a few hours from Sunstone to the southeast. It's clear that's where they're attacking from." What do you say?
I could believe that.
Yeah. They've been attacking from lots of different places recently. Honestly, he kind of points over to one of the tables. Those fellas over there are looking to do some prospecting. They're trying to find some veins. From what I've heard, they know how to make money. That lot over there, they sell swords. They're waiting for the new bounty to come out. They're looking to kill. And pretty much everybody else is just from the town.
Norman's gonna make his way over to the sell swords.
You walk over, and they're all playing a dice game. The game's pretty simple. You roll 3d6, and the idea is that you can either stick with each dice, or you can pick between 1 and 3 of the dice up, and you can re-roll them. The idea is that you've got to try and get the highest number, but you only get 1 re-roll with each dice, if that makes sense. It's a little bit like Yahtzee, but the men are rolling, and as you come over, you hear the sound of the dice hitting the table, and a man with long blonde hair, a thick moustache, and mutton chops now stands up in a bit of a huff and says, "Your dice are weighted! You have fucking cheated me again, Neville!" This other man kind of sits down, a little bit surprised by the outburst of this big fella, says, "Keep your voice down, Henry. I promise you, The dice aren't weighted. I'm just better at you than at this game, alright? And Henry kind of chimes back and looks towards you and says, "What do you want?"
I heard you guys are sellswords looking for the new bounty. I'm wondering if you guys would like to have a little bit of a tip on where well, some of these orcs might be keeping their lair.
There's a pause and a bit of a change of expression on the big man's face as he says, "Orcs? How many?"
A lot. Probably. How many are here? Like 4 or 3?
There are 3 men at this table.
Quite a significant amount. It'd be hard to take them all down with a crew as small as yourselves, but I'm looking to put together a little bit of a small militia, little strike team, so to speak, to hopefully take them out. I know where the treasure room is, where they keep all the shit that they've stolen. And I have a general idea of where their lair is, though it's a little bit hazy at this moment. I had to do quite a lot of, well, running from them.
Right. You talk a lot, don't you? What's your name?
Norman.
Norman. Henry. This is Neville.
Norman extends his hand and tries to give them a firm handshake.
That one's Little John.
Well,
We just call him Johnny.
Very nice to meet you all. Those are my friends over there. They are also people who escaped alongside with me. Being right now I'm piss broke. I feel like this would be a good way for me to get back on my feet, so to speak. I also want to put my axe through a few of those fuckers' heads. Regardless, when the bounty comes out, well, I'll be around here, and we should convene, so we can join forces and make our way over.
Roll a charisma check. In terms of persuasion and general confidence. Yeah, I think you might be alright, Norman. But I'll tell you this. I'm bigger and stronger than you. And that means that if we join forces, I'm in charge. Is that understood?
So long as I'm the navigator, I don't really care. So long as we get equal cuts, I don't really care.
If you do equal amount of work, then sure. But if you lag behind, or prove yourselves to be incompetent, you get nothing.
Well, I know
Not
the
fair.
location. It's fine by me, but I know the location, and that brings value to the table in itself.
Yeah,
I'm just looking for muscle
yeah.
at this point.
Right, you
Okay.
are. Well,
Alrighty.
we'll
Well,
be here. So if you decide you want to do something, let us know.
Will do.
Now, Neville, stop using those fucking weighted dice as he sits down at the table. All the while, Isabel, you are inquiring about lodgings here at this place. It's pretty reasonable. The rooms themselves have 2 beds each, and the price per night, per head, is a silver piece. You pay for the bed, not the room.
I'll pay for 3 of us in a room for a week.
Sure.
So
That's
that's 21 silver.
Okay, sure. That sounds good. Yeah, and the tavern keeper, good fella. Old Bill. Let me just make reference, guys. Old Bill. Of course I'm improvising, guys. But yeah, so you guys pay for your room, and relatively speaking, guys, unless there's anything you'd like to do, you can spend the rest of the day just hanging out, getting to know some of the locals, and kind of preparing for the bounty to come out.
I did want to, once I've gotten a chance, scan the bar or the drinking hall for a fourth member, someone to join.
Sure. So you look around, and obviously you've already noticed that Norman has introduced himself to a group of quite grisly-looking mercenaries. They look a bit rough, and whilst that's good and all, you're looking for somebody who might have skills that differ from what you can all bring to the table. And it's quite suddenly that you notice now a figure trot quite quickly into the tavern. This figure wears a long robe, a tipped pointy hat, has a long, majestic, presumably white beard. Alistair, I have a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
So, have you actually prepared anything, or would you like me to give you an introduction? Do you know why you are here? What you are doing?
Well, I was thinking, I wasn't actually sure whether this would fit your ideas, but I see a lot of things on the map that appear to be ruins.
Okay.
And I was thinking Alistair might be interested in coming to this area looking for possible magical secrets in these ruins. And being sort of, a man from an arcane university, something like that, unaware of the actual troubles of adventuring, he
Right.
thought he could just travel here, go somewhere, and have an adventure without actually being aware of the risks that come with it.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, sure. We will. I mean, it is quite dangerous to get here. My thought was maybe you're a local. Maybe you are reside here. There is a wizard tower in town.
Oh, that actually might make sense.
All right. I'm going to use what you said, and let's weave it into this introduction. So, you now come into the tavern. You're feeling a little bit down. Your master, the head of your wizardly order, has kicked you out of the tower. It seems for the longest time you have not brought much of note to the order or to the tower itself. And the order wants you to prove yourself. Make a name for yourself in the world. This is very Lord of the Rings, as you can probably imagine. That's what the order's like. Different types of wizards wearing different colour robes. What colour robes are yours?
Well,
Think about what spells you've got, and like what would probably make
yes,
sense.
I think it would be sort of light bluish, like
Okay.
yeah,
yeah.
of my spells are protection, so sort of he's in sort of abjuration kind of type.
Yeah.
So light bluish, like the magical shields, sort of like that.
I like that. I like that a lot. That's cool. So yeah, so you're wearing a blue robe, like a light blue robe. It's probably very clean at the moment, but you've just kind of come into the tavern because right now you're trying to figure out what to do. You've just been kicked out probably like an hour ago. They just told you to get out and make something of your life. And if you prove yourself, they'll let you come back in. And it's fair to say, whether you believe this or not, your character Alistair has been able to reside within the tower for many years. You've learned many things about the world. You know many languages. You even somehow, some way, you have learnt to cast magic, something that very few mortals can actually do. Something that is extraordinary and special. But despite how special you are not special to other members of your order, who are far more powerful and impressive than you are. This is your opportunity to rectify that. And as you come in, what do you want to do? You're probably a bit thirsty, a bit hungry. There are people in the tavern everywhere, chatting, talking, playing games. And you do notice, Alistair, a couple of people are just kind of like looking at you. You're quite a weird looking figure. Not every day you see a wizard walk in, and that is what you look like. And in this world, wizards are quite obvious.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
So, Alistair has spent the vast majority of his life within this building, university, the building of the Order of Wizards, and isn't really aware of how this whole adventuring business really works. So in his mind, his idea of proving himself to the Order is basically find some people, go into a dungeon, find an artifact, and come back. He has no idea of how dangerous it actually is.
Of course he doesn't, yeah.
He thinks like, oh, I'm a wizard, I can do this. So he sees this group of people who I assume appear to be somewhat adventurous types. And he walks towards them with an air of nonchalance and general aloofness. And greetings, folks. Do you happen to be adventurers?
Duncan, even as Alistair is approaching Isabel, you know how people do that thing where like they'll like poke you in the ribs to be a bit mean? Duncan does that to you with a sort of shark smile on his face and points to this encroaching wizard.
It's worth mentioning that despite, his age, there is almost a little bit of a formidable presence to this wizard. Wizards have this air of authority and this raw. Some would consider it charisma. Some would just consider it just raw power that surround him. It's almost like the energy of the room has shifted since he's walked in. And yeah, he pokes you and points as he introduces himself. Now asks if you guys are adventurers.
Duncan, still smiling, thinking what he did was hilarious, though probably about to get punched in the shoulder by Isabel, says, yeah, somewhat. Who's asking?
Well, I'm Alistair of the Order of Wizards here in Sunstone. And, well, I'm looking for fellows of adventurous inclination.
Duncan, if no one else has anything to say, his eyebrows raise and he sort of feels that chill of magic up his spine as he almost didn't immediately realize you were a magician, and says, "Oh, you're a wizard. Can you summon demons, wizard?"
Well, demonology is a whole different part of the trade, but I can conjure some nasty bolts. I can create some wards. I do dabble in the arcane arts, but summoning demons is a different different job.
You get the impression that the wizard is a bit socially inept and looks a bit pale from perhaps spending a lot of time indoors. You got to remember the weather here is incredibly warm, so a lot of the people here are quite tan, whereas he is not. You guys all look very tan from being out in the elements as much as you have over the last, well, much of your life. But
This is
still,
probably among the first times in years that Alistair is speaking to non-magically inclined people.
yeah, commoners, normies.
Well, Duncan asks. He turns his head to Isabel. Well, what do you think?
Are you
Yeah.
paying well, wizard?
Excuse me, I didn't quite catch that. What did you say?
Are you paying well? You said you need companions for your adventures.
Well, I might have a couple of coins to spare, but I'd rather join you on an adventure than pay for one. I mean, I could perhaps fund some equipment or something, or buy a round of drinks if you would so please.
I see. So you don't have any tasks that you're currently working on.
No, I'm actually looking for adventure myself, and I would think it would be wise to meet some, well, experts in the field, such as you fellas. You seem you've been through a lot.
It's worth mentioning, Norman, you are obviously present now. You've spoken to the other people, and you're just kind of standing with the rest of the group.
Not very trustworthy of wizards, to be perfectly honest. I don't know. Don't take it personal. When I was younger, well, some sort of cataclysm happened. A lot of people died in the cold. Well, you seem like you might be alright, and it's always useful to have a spellcaster in these kinds of affairs. What's your experience?
Well, to begin with, I haven't caused any cataclysms yet, so I hope that will put your mind at ease. But my expertise is primarily in the warding magic, the protecting of against harm.
Well, that sounds like it could be useful. Here, sit, friend. Have a drink with us. And, Norman just kind of, like, finishes the last of his ale and, puts back the last of his stew.
Alright, guys, so you sit down together, eat some food, have some drinks, and we now move forward to the next day. I will say, obviously you guys are in a tavern, you guys are drinking and eating. You don't have a lot of money, but a couple of you do. And if they would like to put money towards carousing, you guys could gain some experience right now. So it's really up to the two of you, I believe, who really do actually have any money. It is actually a fair bit. You might not have enough, actually. The lowest tier is 30 gold pieces.
Nowhere's even close to that.
Rip. Okay, so
Well, I rolled pretty well on my starting gold, so I
Okay.
do have 32. But considering the current state of the party, most of them don't really have any equipment at the moment, right?
would you like to equip them? Or
Well,
help
I'd
them get
rather
equipped?
spend the money on getting them equipped than gaining experience and then run into a dungeon and die before we could gain a level.
That's fucking fair. That's fair. So, what equipment do you guys want to get?
If I could possibly get a shield,
Yep.
that would be a great benefit to me. Though they are 10 gold pieces.
Yeah,
So-
shield for me as well would help.
Yeah.
Sorry. Duncan's all right actually on that front. He was actually just going to buy himself a new club, which is actually he can afford that pretty easily.
5 coppers for a club, yeah. Just a piece of
Yeah.
wood that's been, shaped and hardened.
I mean, I'd imagine it'd probably have something like a leather handle on it, or
Yes, it does.
like
Yeah,
a wrist strap or something.
it does. So it is definitely a bit nicer than what you have currently. That's what I would say.
Mm.
Honestly, we do need stuff like backpacks, torches, flint and steel. Rations are gonna be a big one. I can afford to get myself a few days of rations, but so I'll just grab those myself eventually when this bounty comes out. But I feel like maybe we should just hold on to our money until the terms of this bounty comes out and we see exactly what it is that we need to be doing.
That sounds fair.
The last number is the cost for the items. The first is the quantity. The second is the gear slots that it takes. So those are the prices for everything that's in a crawling kit, and those are the kind of things that you really need for adventuring, as you can probably imagine. So yeah, if you guys want to start preparing yourself, buying a couple of things, one of the cheapest things is obviously a backpack. It's quite expensive. I'll leave that, guys, up to you. But for sake of purpose, you guys now rest. You mark off a level of attrition and any health that you don't have. I assume you have it back by now. The next day rolls by, and after midday, you notice a man now come in. He's got a bunch of leaflets. He seems to be a town official, and he puts up a flyer in the green halberd. He seems to be obviously putting them around town, but he puts one in the green halberd and he pins it into a bulletin board. As soon as that happens, men in a tavern clamour over to the board. Remember, there's no television or anything like that in those days, so this was like a form of excitement and entertainment, even for the labourers and the tradesmen of the town. And I imagine you all follow with these men and women, and you all now look at the board. By the Lord's decree, an official bounty has been set for the hands and the lives of goblins, hobgoblins, and orcs. You will be able to receive the following fee. And I'll put the prices in the chat. 2 gold pieces per goblin hand, 3 gold pieces per hobgoblin hand, and 4 gold pieces per orc hand. That means you kill 5 orcs, you've got 20 gold. How specifically be the right hand? Hands are obviously different, so you can't just bring back loads of hands and try to trick them. But the idea is that if you bring back a hand from each of the slain orcs, specifically right, or goblins or hobgoblins, you will be paid for it, because you've managed to take out one of the many monsters that is attacking the roads. The bounty is very nondescript, it's very broad, it's a very make your own adventure, go out there and do something type of bounty. It's not go and destroy the bandit den or something at this location. We get experience upon payment. You do, yeah.
I assume there's like this mass of people standing around the bulletin board, looking at the notice.
there are loads of people here, and many of them are not even like actually going to be doing it. They're just interested.
For Alistair, this is like a sort of tourist moment. He's never really experienced anything like this. He's like, oh, so many commoners all looking at a note. How exciting!
It's amazing.
Duncan sort of teases him a little bit, even though he might not realise. Yeah, and it's even got ink on it too.
I give him a look. It's like, what? You haven't seen ink before?
Duncan. Oh no, ink's super rare. Don't you get it from creatures from the water? Never heard of that. Again, he's playing along here.
Talking about ink, Loki, how does it work with spellbooks for wizards? Do I actually need a gear slot for that?
Ooh, I don't know. Actually,
I'm actually holding the Shadowdark core book right now, and it doesn't really say
you're cradling the book.
about a spellbook.
Yeah, so I imagine they've just kind of thrown that out the window and said that you don't really need to have a. Let me read this specifically.
Like it says.
It says, rune tattooed adepts, bespectacled magi, and flame conjuring witches who dare to manipulate the fell forces of magic. So the idea is that you have a choice, and I will allow you to make this choice right now. You can't change your mind, okay? Option 1, you inscribe magic onto your flesh through tattoos. Option 2, you have a book. Or option 3, one of the other options. Up to you.
As much as I like the idea of carving it into flesh like some sort of occult ritual, I don't think it would really fit the idea I have for this character, so I picked the spellbook.
Cool, and I'll say that's one gear slot, but that includes
fine.
ink and a quill.
Okay, I've added it to my inventory.
Call it spellbook. Very good. And, you know, with this kind of added to the game, this could be quite interesting. If you come across an enemy wizard or something, you might be able to look through their spellbook and see what they have, right?
Or check their carvings on their skin.
Yeah, slice off their skin and study it. But anyway, you obviously there are a couple of mercenaries here, including Henry, who looks at the bounty and chuckles and says, 4 gold for an orc. Who the fuck did they take us for? It's a bit more like 5 or 6. Don't get your panties in a twist, Henry. I think 4 gold's more than acceptable. You gotta remember, orcs are strong, but they're not smart. We can easily kill them. Henry kind of scoffs and goes and gets another drink. And Little John says, so when are we going to be moving out then? When I'm good and ready. Pour me a drink, old Bill.
At this point here, I'd like to see if I can get any more hirelings on board to come and try to put a raid on this orc encampment with us.
Is that the what you guys have agreed on? Seems Norman's very interested in going back from which you came. Do the rest of you guys want to do the same? Up to you.
Duncan sort of proposes interest. He sort of throws up his hands and says, now, there's always time for vengeance, Norman. But I'm somewhat interested in hunting some lesser greenskins. Maybe we test our mettle against some goblins in the nearby orc encampment that the bartender, told us about. Surely there's to be some, grunts and things on the upper levels of said ruin. just so we can get some coins in our pockets in order to pay said hirelings. Huh?
I'm with
Perhaps
Duncan on
that'd
this.
probably be a better idea to start off with. At the same time, we also have an idea of the layout of the place that we may possibly be raiding here. Though, if we want to, we can try to get some smaller fish in the pan first. I'm fine with either or.
Well,
Duncan
I wouldn't mind
also-
to start out with some lesser greenskins. I've actually never met one before, so it would be quite intriguing to start from the bottom and move my way up.
Duncan, with a broad smile on his face, says, "Well then, looks like we're goblin hunting."
The wizard speaks as if he wants to do some sort of experiment on these greenskins.
I'm sorry, Isabel. I'm kind of having a hard time hearing you. I'm not sure if that's just me, though.
She's a bit
Um,
quiet. I've got her on
I'm-
200%.
Yeah, I'm moving her up to 200 as well now.
The wizard speaks as if he wants to do some sort of experiment on the greenskins.
Do you say that in character?
Yeah.
Well, if you'd consider hunting them an experiment, I'm not prone to, I don't know, using goblin fingers to make potions or anything, but I've never actually hunted goblins before or done
I'm just
any
speaking
of
to
that
the audience right
adventuring
now.
stuff you guys
Sorry
are
about
all
that.
talking about.
My dogs are a
so
bit noisy,
this
so I'm
is a
going to mute
whole new
myself if they
experience for
have
me.
a
I'm
bark,
rather
okay?
curious to find out how it will be to be out in the wilds hunting goblins.
Yeah, it's all good, Mystic Fingers. Just keep with us, and you'll come out fine. Hopefully. I think. Maybe.
Well, what's adventuring without a little risk?
Oh, you'll find out.
So, how long would you like to stay in Sunstone before you guys decide to head out? Is there anything else you'd like to do whilst you're here? You still need to get some equipment, right?
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
equip
Get
ourselves
some
with gear.
equipment. I also need to sleep another night before I'm completely done with my attrition.
Same.
Very good. All right. So, what do you want? So we can mark it off. I guess Alistair's sheet, if he's paying for it.
Yeah, nothing too outrageous, but I don't mind like
Shield-
buying the torches or buying a shield for someone, or,
Yeah,
or things like that.
The thing is, shields are very expensive, and whilst
Yeah,
they're very,
it's like
they,
10 gold pieces, right?
they're very, yeah, guys, like you're broke right now, but if you can make some money from like this first adventure, you should be able to get yourselves fully suited and booted. It's not too expensive to get yourselves equipped.
I feel like we should definitely buy a crawling kit for the party. It's only 7 gold pieces, and it comes with backpack, torches, some
I got one.
rations.
You've got a crawling kit, so you've already.
Okay.
So the only thing you really need then is some more rations, and you could probably share the crawling kit for now.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
mind sharing it, but I think aside from the rations, we could use a couple more torches.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, you've got the money, so maybe you should buy them.
I don't have the inventory space though, so if
You
anyone
don't?
could-
Oh,
Then-
I can hold on to them.
I was going to say, yeah, me, Isabel, or Norman could all pretty easily carry them.
Just be aware, you do need a container for the rations. I don't expect you guys to just be holding them and carrying them, like cradling them in your arms. You want them in a backpack, right? So you might want to buy a backpack for somebody.
Oh, that's right. Alistair,
Yes.
I did buy, with some of my silver pieces, 3 rations. Do you mind if I leave them with you?
Not at all. I could hold on to them. I have a backpack.
Groovy. All right, I'll remove them from my sheet. 3. I just bought 3 rations.
I'll add them to mine, which completely fills up my gear slots.
And then,
And I see 2 torches are 1 gold.
Yeah.
So in that case, I'd like to buy 4 torches.
Okay.
And I'll just hold them in my arms,
I can
looking at
keep-
everyone like, pick whatever you want.
I can keep a few of them with me.
I have 2 already, so these 4 are all for other people.
I'd like to buy some rations, and if I can, whilst I'm in town, also resupply my my herbal pouch.
Yeah, I'd say you're able to do that, no problem. You're able to just to resupply it. I don't even think it really costs you anything, to be honest.
I'd like to go buy a new shirt.
Perfect. I buy 3 days ration.
Sorry, I didn't catch what you said, Isabel. What did you say?
Oh, I'm gonna buy a new shirt.
Sure. I'd say it will cost you a silver penny. Okay, so I'm gonna say this one more time. Are you guys just gonna be carrying torches in your hands?
Duncan will stick them into the band of his pants, which is it's not comfortable, but it works for now because they're just sticks.
They're
I
quite
wouldn't
wide.
mind
They're quite
buying
wide
someone a
sticks.
backpack.
They're quite wide sticks. That's what I asked. I asked, are you gonna buy somebody a backpack?
Yeah, I was basically practically waiting for someone to say who would want one, but
I'll
I
take
have
one.
one.
I'll take one. I'd love one.
okay,
Oh.
then I buy you a backpack. It's 2 gold, right?
Maybe if that's what it says in the book.
It's what you said in chat.
Yeah, sure. 2 gold.
All right, then I mark off 2 gold and I give you a backpack.
Sweet.
Cool. And yeah, if you want, you can just put the torches in there, because I don't really think it's going to be very efficient for you to have it in the in the elastic of your pants. To be honest, Duncan, I think as soon as you start running, it'll fall out. It'll slip down your
Fair
leg.
enough.
Oh,
How many
you'll have
torches was that?
4 torches. And assumedly unless your rations have all been given to Alistair, you can add the rest of the stuff that you bought as well. Alrighty, so you've got torches. I imagine you have what is necessary to light them as well. Have a look.
I have flint and steel.
Yeah, flint and steel. Cool. Alright, good stuff. Anything else before you go? Because there's no retcon, right? So if there's anything you want to buy, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Well, I no longer have any gear slots, but I have some stuff like iron spikes, which come from the crawling kit.
Yeah.
But I don't
should-
think, as a wizard, with my strength and all, I don't really see myself using them.
Yeah.
If perhaps anyone else wants to have them, I could pass them over.
Yeah.
Sure. I also think it would be a good idea for us to buy some caltrops too. Might be a good idea to just have those around.
Yeah, you can get some caltrops. They're 5 silver pieces for 1 bag, and they're 1 gear slot.
I don't have the money for that. Can somebody front it, please?
I'll pay
I've
for
got-
them.
Cool.
All right, fair enough.
Alistair's got
Sweet,
them.
thank you.
Cool, to add some caltrops to your sheet as well, Norman.
And you can
Will
add
do.
10 iron spikes then,
And 10 iron spikes as well.
which
Cool.
I'll remove from my inventory, so I'll actually be able to loot something now. with a
Hell
free
yeah.
gear slot.
Very good. Yeah, obviously you guys are a team, so even if one of you is doing most of the looting, you will be able to gain experience. But just remember, guys, if that person dies, you might have gained the experience, but you haven't actually gained the gold value, if that makes sense. So, remember that. Alrighty, so one more night here, guys, and then we're moving out. Okay?
Yeah, 1 silver.
Okay.
Okay, how is everyone with rations? Because I've got 6 now to share, but how's the rest doing?
I'm
I
doing
think-
all right.
Okay, so I think we'll manage.
I was going to say the only people who've got backpacks are the two of you. So that means you're the only ones who've probably got rations, because it's unlikely that you guys are going to be carrying rations unless you have a backpack. So you are probably going to need to try and forage or hunt. The good news is the area around Sunstone and the grazing lands to the south are known to have a lot of various animals, deer and large like cattle and things like that. So it's not impossible to find some meat or some vegetables or something like that and eat them. So, you guys ready to move out? Just for reference,
Well,
guys.
sir.
Just for reference, guys, you're able to move 2 hexes a day on this map. Each hex takes 4 hours in order to get there, after which your characters become tired and exhausted, and any more travel past that will make your characters very, very tired, and it will weaken their combat ability as well as everything else. So yeah, I'd like you guys to each mark off 7 coppers for food and drink tonight. And we now prepare for the adventure ahead. You do have one rumour. The rumour is specifically that to the southeast there is an orc or greenskin stronghold of some sort. And I imagine that's where you guys are going. The people in the tavern are many of the same, but some new people here as well, people who've travelled from the north and have arrived here as well. It seems the prospectors are getting ready to leave soon, as if they're getting ready to go on an adventure. They seem to have hired a couple of men, and from what you've heard, they're offering quite a lucrative fee to people who actually decide to join. It's 10 gold pieces per person.
What was this for again?
This is a group of prospectors. These are people who travel around and go into, hills and stuff like that, looking for minerals like silver, iron, gold, the like. And if they find something, they sell the information to a local ruler in exchange for coin. And a mine is typically made there, which can obviously make the region a lot of money.
Should we possibly just go with them? It sounds like a pretty low risk kind of thing that might get us started here.
Yeah, and any greenskins we kill, we can still bring back their hands.
What does everyone else think?
If we
That
so
sounds
wish.
like a good idea.
Just for reference, guys, I'm running this on roll 20.
All right, I think we'll go with them for today.
All right, so do you want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, so
Uh,
how are they
no,
like
you go ahead.
how are they like are they like at the gates, or where are they located?
They're in a tavern. They're sitting at a table. You guys are at the next booth. There are 2 of them. They appear to have a couple of men with them who they've hired. The 2 men look middle-aged, grizzled. They look like they've obviously travelled a lot. They look a bit dirty, hairy, and their skin is very kind of aged from the weather, from the sun. And as you kind of approach, you hear one of them say to the other, I think we're almost ready to leave. We just need a couple more men. People who will be of good fighting stock. Who knows what we could find up in the hills.
I approach. Well, I'm no man, but I am an experienced soldier.
And he turns and says, My lady. And kind of, like, gives you a kind of a solemn nod and says, Are you looking to be hired?
Yes. I'm not a lady though. I'm not of noble birth.
Oh, no, I didn't mean that. Just, got manners. The name
Smile.
is Miles. And he puts his hand out for you to shake it.
I shake his hand and smile.
This right here is George. He says, Well met. Nice to meet you. Me and George are getting ready to head out east. There are some hills that we've heard a lot of rumours about since arriving in Sunstone. Apparently, there used to be an ancient mine that was once, well, it brought a lot of wealth in Sunstone. We're talking iron, maybe even silver too. But the mine's not been used in a few hundred years. A lot of the locals don't really exactly know where it is anymore. But apparently there are some old statues up in the hills. Apparently they're not too far from the mine. We're going to try and find the statues and subsequently find the mine. It's been a few hundred years though, so I imagine it's going to be pretty collapsed and rough. We've got some equipment together. And one of the men that they've hired kind of lifts up a bag that's got like a shovel and like a mining pick and a couple of other things like, iron spikes and stuff in. Just stuff that you would need for like excavation, right, and mining. And he says, we're hoping that we're going to make a good job of it. And if we find what we're looking for, we've already spoken with the the Lord here at Sunstone. He's going to pay us quite handsomely.
And what would our duties be?
Your duties? Well, me and George know our way around a mine, so you're not going to have to worry too much about that. But if you've got some friends, or, even if it's just you, all we really need is a little bit of extra muscle, people who can keep us safe, people who can make sure we can get to our destination and back unscathed. Does that sound appropriate to you? Does that sound like a good idea? Good offer?
So long as I don't have to do any manual labor.
You might have to carry a couple of things. Is it just you?
No, I have a few companions.
Would they be willing to carry some stuff?
Maybe all of them except for the elderly gentleman. He looks like he can barely carry.
Right. Well, if a couple of your friends are happy to help out, I'm sure you don't have to do too much apart from, and he kind of pauses as George kind of cuts in. He says, "Well, Miles, maybe you should slow down a second. And obviously, we've told you a lot about what we're doing, but what exactly are you? What do you bring to the table?" Well, hello.
He's talking to me.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, yeah. So I have a short sword, hanging from my belt, and I have like a full mail hauberk.
You're not.
So I definitely look.
Okay. Yeah, you are wearing mail, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you look like a warrior, but they assume that you know how to fight. But do you do anything else?
No, I'm just a soldier.
Well, tell them that, but tell them that in a good way. Don't just say I'm just a soldier. Tell them what you want to tell them.
I'm quite skilled with a sword. I've been in service to a lord, and I kind of struck off on my own when the pay wasn't enough.
He nods and he says, And if we pay you, you'll kill for us.
Of course.
He looks over at Miles, and Miles is kind of looking for feedback, like, is this good? Is this a good deal, George? And George gives him a very calculated and solemn nod. And Miles kind of claps his hands. Miles seems to be the more, good cop, bad cop, right? And Miles turns and says, all right, well, you speak to your friends, see if they're happy with the pay. Obviously, we don't know what we're going to find there. It could be empty, no problems. We go back, hand over the information to the Lord. There could be trouble. Whatever we find on the way, if there are any nasties, I've heard, rumour of lots of goblins in the area. I think I've seen some orcs whilst we were travelling here. If we have any fights, you can keep the spoils of war. Alright?
Sounds like a deal.
Alright, you speak to your lot, and we'll be here. But we're leaving in the morning.
And are they paying us before or after?
From what you've understood, they'll be paying you at the start of the job, before you leave.
Okay.
And you get the impression from these guys that, you don't know what you're going to find, but there could be the opportunity to make more money from this adventure, especially if you do end up fighting anything, right? Because you can take hands, and that's like a side quest reward that you can get from the bailiff, and who knows what they might find going up into the hills. All sorts of things. There's a lot of ruins to the east of Sunstone. There's 2. Who knows what they are?
Cool, yeah, I'll give the information back to the party.
Well, Duncan's in high spirits. Certainly he's rearing to go.
Very good.
I'm rather excited to go out adventuring with these fellas, these folks.
I believe they said they were prospectors.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
And finding a mine could boost the local economy as well. If we decide to stick around.
Fair enough.
All right.
Sounds like a good thing. Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. So, with that in mind, you now rest for the night. And as morning comes about, you guys are all feeling refreshed. Your attrition's gone. And you're ready to take on the adventure. You convene now with the 2 men aforementioned, Miles and George, as well as the 2 men that are going to be joining them, who are basically just like your basic kind of hirelings, right? Who are named Tim and Alex. And as you guys now group up, kind of on the outskirts of Sunstone, and maybe just outside of the tavern actually makes a lot more sense. Miles turns to you lot and says, "Alright, more of you than I thought there were going to be, but that's probably just a good omen of what is to come. My name is Miles. This is my associate George. We are prospectors from the south. He kind of coughs a little bit. We hail from Dusthaven. We've made our way up here in search of treasure. And we're not talking coins, we're not talking magical items or artifacts. We're talking ore." And he shows you guys a piece of slag rock that's got like a glimmering of like silver in it. He says, "This is what we're looking for. We're heading east, following the river up, and we're going to head up into the hills. There's a story of an old, abandoned mine. It's ancient, this mine, and it was once used by the people of old, the people before the people who are here now, the previous denizens, right?" And he looks to George for confirmation. George gives him a nod. Yeah. Obviously, we don't know what we're going to find. you lot have been hired to keep me and Georgie here alive and, help out with whatever we need doing. We might need you to help us build a camp, break down an entryway or a wall, or, carry some stuff for us, as it's likely we're going to have to provide proof for the Lord that we've actually found what we're talking about. Usually, people of higher stock don't just take you for your word, especially if you're a common-born muck piece of shit like myself. But hopefully, we'll get back in one piece. It's going to be a few days' journey there, maybe a bit more, maybe a few days back. I'd say a week tops. But you never know what happens when you get out and about. Are there any questions from any of you lot? Very good. I like a quiet group. Means I've said everything that I needed to say. And he looks over at Alistair and he says, "Wait." And he squints. "You're a bit old, aren't you? Are you sure you want to go on this?"
Yes. Never too old to go out into the wild, wouldn't you say?
And he pauses. He seems genuinely confused when George kind of mumbles to him, "I think he's a wizard, Miles." And Miles kind of like perks up and goes, "Oh, well, my liege," as he bows to you, "it's lovely to have one of your kind on board."
Oh, no need for all that. I'm just one of the adventurers. No need to treat me like I'm anything special.
Are you
Of
from
course, I
that?
can cast magic and the others can't, but still.
Are you from the tower in town?
I am, yes, actually.
Oh, I've heard stories about the wizards in that tower. Hopefully they're not true. And he kind of chuckles.
We'll see. I've no idea what you might have heard.
And they kind of laugh, and they welcome you all on. You guys can add 10 gold pieces to your sheets. You guys have been paid by the prospectors beforehand. They are hopeful that you're a good lot and that you're going to do your job. It is worth mentioning that this isn't classified as treasure because this is payment. You actually do still need to find treasure. But I will say this, guys. If you're able to get these men to the location and back safely, you will receive 1, 2, 3 experience points per man. Okay? I'll make a note of that on my 3 XP. If they survive, this is specifically for Miles and George. You don't gain any experience if Tim and Alex survive, but you should still probably try and keep everyone going. But yeah, you will gain experience if they survive, so there is definitely an incentive there. If there wasn't already one. These seem to be nice guys. And anyway, you guys are now ready to head out. And I'd like the navigator to roll me an intelligence check, please. Which I believe is you, Norman.
Alrighty. Let's see. $13.
Alright, very good. So you guys now begin to head out towards the hills to the east. It seems the people who've paid you, your patrons, don't really want to go into a place where there is going to be a lot of confrontation. Apparently there's a ruin to the southeast. They'd like to try and give that a wide berth if they can. So it's just follow the river and head up into the hills. And you follow the instructions, Norman. You lead the party towards the river. and stop off momentarily to get water. The water in this area is very, very quick. It just rushes past. And, you're able to kind of put your water skins in and fill them up. The water itself is very clean. It's not dirty or murky in any way. But for a moment, you guys just get to relax. It's been a fair few hours of walking. I'd say 4 in total, as that's how long it takes to go from hex to hex. So you are, feeling a bit tired. What are you guys all doing?
Well, when filling water skins, Duncan, he often shows his youth by being, let's be honest, a bit of a douche. So when filling up water skins, he, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. All right, fair enough. He splashes up water against Isabel. Which, yes, that's why I did just eeny, meeny, miny, mo to see who he would do it to. Sort of laughing like a little prick as he does it.
How does your character respond to that, Isabel?
What the fuck, Duncan?
He laughed. Oh, come on. It's just a bit of fun.
It is kind of hot out here, though.
You're telling me. And he dunks his...
It is, and Norman goes and pushes Duncan into the water.
Yep, fair enough.
You got splashed.
I'm gonna splash Norman.
Norman laughs along with it. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna be next, but we gotta get back on the road here. Come on, Duncan, dry yourself off."
So as you guys are kind of,
Sun will do it.
as you guys are messing around and just having fun, what's the wizard doing as this is all kind of going on?
I'm basically looking around, taking in the environment, probably taking a couple of deep breaths, as I haven't walked such a distance in ages. And I'm basically looking around if I like walking around to the people who are doing things, just standing there. If someone asks me to help, I would help, but I'm not actually offering to help.
That makes sense. Righty. So, as you kind of look around, you see what's going on. You look over at the prospectors, and you can see that they're just taking a bit of a break. The Miles is a bit on the chunkier side, and he seems obviously a bit overwhelming. All of the running and everything that you guys, the walking and the hiking, as you guys are now kind of approaching towards the hills now. And he just looks a little bit under the weather, a little bit tired and everything. But he does kind of motion you over, Alistair. Perhaps interested in speaking with you.
Okay, I approach. I come closer.
And he says to you, "You alright, wizard?"
Yes.
He nods and he says, "Do you have any remedies for a light head? I'm feeling a bit under the weather today. I must have not had enough water before we left."
Remedies. Sadly not. Like I could protect you from harm, but any harm that's already been caused, that's beyond my expertise. I apologize.
That's a bit of a shame. But no worries, no fret. I'm just an old fella, getting a bit too old for this job. But you know what they say, the heart of the wild. I'm a prospector through and through.
Does Norman overhear this?
Yeah, you hear the conversation.
Norman comes up and he's like, well, I know how to make remedies and such. What seems to be the issue for you here? You're just feeling like you haven't had enough water?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel a bit sick. Almost like I'm gonna throw up.
Here, come down to the river, have a drink. Let me see what I might be able to do for you here.
So he kind of heads down to the river with you guys.
Yeah, I'm going to try to make a restorative remedy, which, that's going to be a DC 14 intelligence check.
Very cool. Go for it.
Yeah, sorry, don't have the right herbs to be helping you with this at the moment. Maybe I'll be able to find some more on our travels further down the road, but I'll let you know.
Miles seems a bit sad, but you know, he's not too bothered. He just goes back to drinking a bit of water. I do like the creativity though. I'm going to give you a luck point now, which you can use moving forwards.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. What's going on?
Yep. I just had an idea, or I remember something. Duncan says, it might not be as effective as the restorative uh, things that you can create, but don't you have them pine needles? You could make him a bit of tea. Or
Actually
you know,
do. Does anybody have a kettle on them or a pot, something that we can boil these in? But as soon as we settle down for the night, I can make you something. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. It's very, very basic medicine.
Yeah. So there seems like one of the hirelings has got, you know, pots and stuff like that, various things, drinking apparatus. Be quite useful.
Yeah, I'll do that as soon as we set up camp. Thank you for reminding me of that, Duncan.
all good.
As you guys now get ready to kind of continue on, you are suddenly surprised as a javelin flies through the air. Eight. Okay, interesting. And just whizzes by Alex's head. He turns along with everybody else as you now see hobgoblins poking their heads out from the nearby area. They seem to have, I don't know, surprised you guys, and they seem almost surprised themselves as they look on at all of you with disdain. And as soon as they spot you, you hear movement to the southwest. Click on your tokens and roll initiative for me. Thank you, guys. Good look at the tracker. Let's roll for the hireling. 17. Very nice. Just to fit the narrative a little bit better, I'm going to swap these guys around. Very good. These two are the ones that just threw stuff at you guys. Suddenly, these guys now run up to the edge. And as they do, they look down at you all with disdain. with spears in hand, they pull one out each and hurl it in your direction. One coming towards you, Isabel, and one towards you, Norman. I'd like you to roll me a block check, please. Oh, not too good.
Tasty.
Yeah, let's have a look at...
I should have +3 to that. I forgot to update my AC.
+3?
Yeah, for my chainmail.
Alright, the DC for this was 11 plus 3, 14. DC 14 for these hobgoblins. I believe that unfortunately hits you both. You each take, I just want to make sure I get the damage right. It is a javelin. It's a D4 points of damage, which you both can roll now. Oof.
Shit.
So you both take a considerable amount of damage as you're both struck by the javelins. Your wounds have only just actually began to heal, and here you are now fighting against more hobgoblins. They don't appear to be very confident. You get the impression that you don't need to do too much to maybe force them to flee. But right now they stand on the high ground, and they are taking advantage. Tim and Alex now stand ready, and they now shout and scream at the hobgoblins to the southeast, trying to scare them away. It seems to work. The hobgoblins pull back. Norman, what do you want to do?
I would like to try to run up to one of these hobgoblins and axe him in the face.
Yeah, so the line that you see where they're standing represents a little bit of high ground. It's like a step, and it's about 5 feet. So you would need to navigate around the line in order to be able to attack them. Unless you had a reach weapon. Yep, you've got enough movement. Move on up.
Yeah, move on over there, and then I'd like to make an attack against him with my hand axe.
Go for it. It hits! You deal 4 points of damage to the hobgoblin, which doesn't bring it down, but it is now injured and begins taking steps away from you. Alistair.
I want to take a couple of steps to be somewhere around here to cast a magic missile on the hobgoblin that's just been hit by Norman.
Nice. Go for it.
Crits on
Natural
my
20!
first roll.
Quit. Okay,
Oh,
so remember,
yes.
on a crit, you can double the numerical effect of the spell in one way. So you can either double the targets, double the damage, or anything else that makes sense.
I'd like to double the damage, trying to take out as much as I can from this hobgoblin to protect Norman from being struck back.
Right, roll me another d4.
Yes. Which is a 1, so 3 damage total.
3 damage total, but it singes the side of this hobgoblin, and I mean, the hobgoblin doesn't look like it wants to fight anymore at this point. Anything else?
No, the black mage armor would just be another action, right? So I can't
Yeah, it
do
would.
that.
Over to
No,
Isabel.
then that's it. That's it.
How did the javelin hit me?
It probably nicked you in the side, although you are wearing like a hauberk, right? So I imagine
Yeah.
it doesn't actually pierce your flesh. I imagine it dents your armor, and it feels more like a bludgeoning impact than a piercing one.
So it's on the ground next to me?
It is, but it is broken now.
Oh, okay.
Javelins usually break upon impact, unfortunately.
Okay, then I'm going to draw my sword and move over to protect Miles.
Very good.
And then I'm going to yell at this hobgoblin.
What do you yell?
I'll just yell, "I'll fucking kill you."
Roll me in
And I
like a
first
charisma check.
sword.
I'm gonna roll a morale check for the Hobgoblin. I'll do it on their turn, actually. That sounds like a good idea. Duncan.
Okay. So these lines over here, is that a step that I can step up?
As I said before, it's 5 feet high. So it's not something you can really step up, but you can see you see right next to that Hobgoblin that just got like shouted at, there are actually steps that lead up. So you could actually move up there. Yeah.
Sorry, those steps were what I was asking about. My apologies.
Yeah, you could
okay.
and you could probably move around the Hobgoblin if you wanted to.
Well, I'm going to step up onto the steps. Does that put me within attacking range?
It does, and I will say this Hobgoblin right now is very, very nervous, and he recoils as you approach. Do you want to attack him?
I was going to say, maybe if I whump him, it might solidify his running. So yes, I will... Oh, hang on a minute. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25... Oh no, it wouldn't be worth it. Yeah, I'm going to try and hit him.
Go for it.
Weapon... I doubt Nate hits.
So he steps back, brings up his shield, and takes it on the shield. But he's trembling.
Alright.
He's just trying to stay alive.
Duncan curses in Orcish.
Very good. Alright, over to Norman. Right, Norman's got 2 initiatives. Why has he got 2 initiatives?
I don't know.
What did you roll originally? You rolled... Oh, dude, okay. Well, I had you go on your other one. Okay, because you rolled... Oh, it's because you rolled at the start of the session. Okay, well, I'm going to get rid of your 17, and I'm just going to have you act right now. I'm just going to give you a free round. So, what do you want to do?
I'm going to smack him.
Alrighty. Have a look what you rolled. A 22. Wow. How do you finish off the Hobgoblin?
I'd like to cut his head off with the hand axe and kick it like a football.
Wow, pretty brutal. Hobgoblin is dead. The others look on. This one here gonna step up and charge you with its spear. Roll me a block check. DC 14. How do you defend yourself? How do you block?
I'd like to take the hand axe and parry it with the handle right under the head of the blade.
Very nice. The other one moves up here and throws a javelin towards Duncan. Can you roll me a block check, please? DC is 14. It hits. D4 points of damage. Take 3 points of damage. Hobgoblin's now pulled back. Or at least this one that's here. It's now the top of the round. Hobgoblin next to you. Duncan is going to roll 2d6. He rolls a 8 or higher. He's gone. He runs away. Frightened by your might. The other one is dead. Over to the hirelings, who now regroup as George kind of groups up with Miles. They kind of put their shields together, and relatively speaking, guys, if you just stand next to one of the allies and raise your shield, I don't see why you couldn't be basically full cover for an ally. Yeah? So what Isabel's doing is actually very valuable. I don't think the Hobgoblins really have much of a shot of hitting Miles, even if they wanted to try and hit him, right? Because Isabel's in the way, Alice is also kind of in the way as well. It'd be very, very unlikely. Yeah, these guys are going to move up, and then their turns. Over to Alistair.
Yes. Can I hit the Hobgoblin next to Norman from where I'm standing?
You would need to reposition.
Could I move here?
You need to move around the ridge. I'd say 10 feet to the south. or to the southwest, and you'll have an angle.
Like this?
Yeah, that's good. You've got an angle.
Okay.
Yeah, that hits. 3 points of damage.
Yes. And after I shot the missile, I do wish to move back here to regroup.
Very good. I like it. Isabel.
I'm just gonna move there to form like a line with the other hirelings and just end my turn.
And your turn as you hold your shield up, protect him.
I don't have a
Well-
shield.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess you just use your body as a shield. Just stand ready for anything that comes in. Duncan.
All right, move over here. Let's gang up on this guy. Weapon attack. Oh, this is bullying in the workplace.
So, you try and run forward and you trip. You are young and full of energy, but you are not yet able to invest that energy effectively as you land face first in the dirt. Your turn is over.
Sounds about right.
You have an icon for that, which is this. There we go. I popped it on. Lots of cool little icons that you guys can see under the status effects. I actually bought a pack, which is pretty cool. I've also got some of the default ones too, because they're pretty good. Norman.
At this point, I'd like to also make an attack against the Hobgoblin here.
Yeah, I mean, the Hobgoblin now turns, raises his spear, and gets ready to try and execute Duncan. So let's hope you can do some damage. That misses.
That's unfortunate.
That's very unfortunate. Hobgoblin now raises and brings it down on Duncan. Duncan, I want you to roll me a block check. You've got disadvantage.
All right, here's one. Well, that's
That
that.
hits.
Oh,
Have a look.
D4.
This is
Nah,
it.
sounds
Yeah.
about right.
So that mine, he plants it straight down, and it pierces the top of your thigh, not too far from your pelvis, and you immediately fall unconscious from the pain. After which, the Hobgoblin now turns its attention towards you, Norman. Still looking to fight, not yet injured enough to even be considering retreat. The other one, quite naughty, moves up and tosses a javelin towards Isabel. Roll me a block check. Managed to step out of the way as it whizzes by your head. He ends his turn there. Tim now rushes forwards. Alex moves up alongside you, Isabel, and Tim goes for an attack on the Hobgoblin. Misses. Alistair.
Yes, I want to move out here again to hit the Hobgoblin to hopefully take him out so Duncan is out of danger.
Sure. Oh, again! Again! You want to double it?
I want to double the damage, so that's another d4. I love having permanent advantage on this spell.
Yeah. That's 3 points of damage, and now Hobgoblin is pretty injured.
And I don't move back. I want to stay here so I could perhaps help Duncan if need be.
But Isabel, you hear kind of a gasp out from Duncan, and you hear like a lot of fighting going on ahead. Obviously, that other Hobgoblin threw a javelin at you. What do you want to do?
Okay, I'm gonna use 20 feet of my movement to move up to Duncan. I'm gonna grab him and I'm gonna start dragging him back.
Very good. Yeah, you managed to drag him back to here. And I imagine you stand over his body and protect him from the enemies to the west
Yeah.
and south. Duncan, I need to roll me a d4 and add your con modifier to the amount of rounds you have until your character succumbs to its wounds and dies.
All right, not slash R, 1d4, 2.
You got 3 rounds.
That's a big old 3.
We'll add number 3 to your token, and that begins the countdown. Norman.
I'm going to try to attack this Hobgoblin one more time here.
Bring back your weapon, your hand axe, and it hits! And that's the second kill for Norman. How do you finish off the Hobgoblin?
I'd like to lop his arm off. And immediately after I'm done with that, I'm going to rush over to Duncan.
And as you rush over to Duncan, and you're now all looking towards the remaining Hobgoblin, Hobgoblin glances at you guys, looks around, and runs away. And it's worth mentioning that you now watch as they run inland, specifically towards the high ground, the hills. The combat is over.
Alright, somebody start chopping off those hands. I need to go fucking deal with Duncan here, and I guess I'll try to put a salve on him.
Yeah, go for it. That's a DC 11.
Yep.
Alrighty, hope you succeed.
I'll start chopping off their hands.
Do you want to use your luck?
I would like to do that.
Best of luck.
There's no such thing as help or something in Shadowdark, right?
There's no help actions, unfortunately. If you guys want to do the same thing, you can do so on your turn. You just roll the same check, basically.
Yeah, I succeed on
Although-
creating a salve, and he will gain 1 hit point for that.
I will say, Alistair, in light of good DMing, I will say that if you do help somebody, and I believe that the way that you're helping is actually valuable, I can lower the difficulty class of the challenge. So if it's a 15, it's now a 12. If it's a 12, it's now a 9. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But Norman is succeeding either way now, right?
He has succeeded either way, yeah. And I wouldn't have really allowed it retroactively anyway. I feel like if you want to help, you need to let us know, as he's telling me that and rolling his dice.
Yeah,
But-
that makes sense, of course.
Albeit, he does manage to succeed. You make a healing salve that restores. Is it just 1 hit point, Duncan?
That's what
yes.
that's what he told me.
Yep.
Yep,
So you now come back to consciousness, Duncan. I imagine you pour the salve over the wound. You don't make him drink it. You just pour it onto the wound, and it has a medicinal and healing qualities. It's considered almost a magical remedy, right? And it immediately kind of clots the wound and basically gives it a seal. It's pretty great. Will scar though.
As Duncan sits up, he reaches and grabs his hat and puts it back on whilst grumbling. Well, that was deeply emasculating. How about you guys?
Happens to the best of us.
So I'm told.
So George now comes trotting over and says, I think we've had enough blood now. I think we need to move out.
Norman, give me your axe.
Norman hands his axe over to Isabel. I assume she wants to chop off the right hands of both these hobgoblins here.
Yep, I go to town on their right hands.
Yeah, you chop off both their hands, and if you guys would like to store them in a backpack, you may do so. Each hand is 1 gear slot.
All right. How many gear slots does a backpack give me again?
It just gives you access to, in my opinion, more than a couple, because you can only carry so much with your arms and your hands, right? So whatever your strength score is or 10, whichever's higher. What's your strength?
Can I
Alright,
can I tuck
sweet.
them into my belt?
I've got 14 strength.
I wouldn't say that you could tuck them into your belt, and I think that would be very uncomfortable, and I don't think they would probably stay there for a long period of time. You could try, but yeah, just put them in a backpack or in a sack or something like that. Somewhere where they're not going to fall out. I mean, they are severed
I
hands.
can carry them.
But there are is it just 2 corpses? I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
there
cool.
are 2 still around.
Okay, 2 corpses, and it seems 4 of them ran away. You were fighting against a group of 6, which is quite a large hunting party or patrol party. What that tells you is really up to you, really, in regards to these hobgoblins. But yeah, who's adding those hobgoblin hands to? Is it just you? Is it you, Norman?
Yep.
Okay, so just add a hobgoblin hand for each slot. They take up 2 slots, 1 each.
Oh, that's right.
And you guys can now get on your merry way.
Can I see if there's any loot on the hobgoblins?
Yeah, of
I was
course you
just
can.
about to ask the same thing.
You guys loot through each of the hobgoblins. Both you and Duncan can roll me a d6. As this is a random encounter, there's a chance of getting random treasure. Unfortunately, on a 1, you do not find anything on either of these hobgoblins that is considered valuable. Despite that, they do have, each of them, spear and a crude hobgoblin shield.
Ooh.
Yeah, where
does
guys,
the-
the shields provide a +1 to AC, not 2.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll take a shield and a spear.
Cool. Add them to your sheet. And feel free to set up the macros in your own time. So, you guys now continue your journey, and we'll now move back to the main map. Where is the main map? There it is. Being led by your navigator, you guys now press up into the hills. Roll me an intelligence check. Norman, you have advantage.
Sorry, that's initiative.
Done it
okay.
again. Okay. So you now head up into the hills. And you seem to be struggling. You do your best to lead prospectors, the rest of your companions. The terrain gets more and more fierce, difficult to overcome. You find yourselves now climbing rocks, scaling the hillsides in order to get to the high ground. I'd like each of you to please roll me a con check as your characters overcome these vast obstacles.
Uh-oh.
It seems Duncan is leading the charge. Perhaps you're running off the adrenaline of the previous bout, but you're definitely out in front. Surprisingly, Alistair, you find yourself behind. Perhaps the call to adventure has made you feel young again. You seem to be able to move a lot quicker. But, to be fair, people who are trailing behind were in the thick of it. Norman seems especially tired, worn out from today's travelling. Point of attrition, Norman and Isabel. Everybody else has succeeded. And you now reach the top of one of these sloping rolling hills. Miles turns to you all and asks to set up camp, which you guys are happy to oblige. Firewood is brought, the fire is made. The prospectors get out their sleeping bags and put them down and lay in them, whereas it seems the hirelings just kind of lay down in the dirt. Lovely. But everybody's eating food, drinking drink. At this point, guys, I'd like to ask you, please mark off a ration.
Wasn't only one person carrying rations?
Indeed.
I was gonna say, yeah, there's 4 of us, so we just take 4 rations from Norman's pack.
Cool.
Yeah, I've only got. Did we give me all the rations, or did we only give me?
I also have 6 of them, so I could also just remove 4.
Oh,
Yep.
sorry, I thought we gave them all to Norman to continue.
No, I'm carrying 3 rations on me. So yeah, just take off 4 there for a slot.
Very
Yes,
good.
I've removed them.
Very good. So you eat a ration each, drink some of the water from the nearby river, and you now look up at the sky. There's not a cloud in the dark sky. You can see the stars twinkling. And you guys think of more peaceful times. You're in a land far from your homes. A place hot, also very cold at other times. Dangerous place. With that in mind, you now go on to watch. And the night begins to roll by. I'm gonna roll some checks. As the night begins to roll by, the wind picks up, something fierce, and it rushes through your camp like a wave. At first, soft, solemn, but it grows in intensity. It becomes as fierce as as a wave from the sea. It just rushes through and smashes into you all. You can't help but feel uncomfortable, trying to sleep in this environment with the wind rushing over you. Hair is going everywhere. You're having to hold your equipment so it won't get blown off the hill and be on the other side of the barony. I'd like one more check from each of you. That is going to be an additional con check, please. Alice is the only one who fails. For the first 4 hours of the next day, Alistair, you are going to be considered tired. When you are tired, you have disadvantage on all tests. That understood?
Alright.
So that means that your attacks are standard. Your spell casting is standard on the ones that you have advantage on. So just be aware of that. You are feeling tired, you're feeling grouchy, because you haven't really got much sleep. But after 4 hours, which will be 1 hex, you will be feeling better.
Okay, I've noted it down.
You each keep watch at a different time, looking out into the darkness around you, wondering whether those hobgoblins are going to show their face. They don't. Now morning. You wake up, you put your equipment on, you wait for the prospectors who urge you forward. They say to look out for statues. Statues of a bygone age. They don't know what the statues look like, but they presume that they're going to be quite obvious in appearance. Now you begin to move out. Norman, you can roll me an intelligence check for navigation. The rest of you can roll me a wisdom check, as you're going to be trying to spot. Obviously, make sure you roll your hit dice as well if you would like to regain hit points, guys.
And we lose attrition.
As long as you succeeded on your con check, you do. Your second con check. The only person who wouldn't would be Alistair. 11 from Norman. 9. 8. You're waiting on one player for a wisdom, right?
Oh, yes, sorry.
My wisdom would be a 2.
A 2? Oh, okay. Not very wise. It seems very few of you are. The day now begins to roll by, as you find yourselves now moving between the hills. There seems to be a old path you are following. It doesn't really show itself too much, apart from the fact that it's been carved into the earth itself. And you get the impression that you might be on the right track. It makes sense that a mining operation would head through this space, but you don't know exactly where it is. And the afternoon now begins to pass. I'm going to roll a couple of checks. And you end the day finding a statue. The statue itself depicts a woman with the head of a dog. It almost appears like my comparison would be ancient Egypt, right? How sometimes they had like statues depicting humanoid figures with animal heads, right? But a woman with the head and the face of a dog, and specifically like maybe a German Shepherd or a Doberman, right? That kind of appearance. And you guys now find yourselves standing upon it. It is half buried into the ground, and it's made of sandstone. It looks old, very old. But Alistair, this is exciting. You haven't seen anything like this before. You've read about it in books. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I certainly want to have a closer look, but what I've read in books is that what would I know beforehand?
Well, let's see what you roll. Roll me intelligence.
Intelligence, okay.
Yeah, you're going to get something, but based on what you roll will determine how much I give you. You're a wizard, so you will
That's
know
fair.
something on this subject. Natural 1.
Okay.
You are aware that the ancient peoples of this land had many mausoleums, crypts. They were an ancient people, and they worked with simple tools made of copper, and to a lesser extent, bronze. And you believe that this statue depicts one of their goddesses. The name is on the tip of your tongue. Perhaps the other mages were right about you, Alistair. Maybe you don't really know that much. The statue itself is quite large. It's actually taller than you. It's half buried, but the half that isn't buried, and you're standing next to, is already taller than each of you. I'd say it's probably around 10 feet tall. Statue, maybe 12 feet. If
Could
it was
I
uncovered.
perhaps investigate it to see if it's perhaps more than what it would seem?
In what way would you do that? Because if
Well,
you get... Be aware, like, I'm not saying that this is the case, but, for example, if you're looking for a secret door, if you are specific about what you're doing, I won't even have you roll for it.
Yes,
I'll
I
just-
want to
yeah.
to check the basically the stonework
Yeah.
of the statue, whether there's some kind of mechanism or door in it, like whether it's just a statue or whether these statues are used to mark an entrance or a sort of mechanism.
Cool. Whilst you're doing that, what about the rest of you? Are any of you keeping your eyes peeled for trouble?
Yeah,
After
I'm gonna
what happened
keep a
yesterday.
lookout, and I'm gonna stay near Miles and George and make sure that they're protected.
What about you, Norman?
After yesterday, Norman is just going to be kept wide-eyed, looking around as much as he can. He might even scout ahead a little bit, if possible.
Yeah, if you want to move away by yourself, you're welcome to do so and have a look around. What about you, Duncan?
Duncan would probably have joined Alistair in the inspecting of the statue, but he does it more out of a sense of humor because he finds it funny looking. So he's probably just joking around and probably being a bit annoying to Alistair, actually.
Right, okay. Interesting. Anything specific that you do?
He's just making comments about how, you know, oh, it looks a little silly, and how he's like leaning on it nonchalantly as if
Yeah.
it's not important, and you know,
Interesting. Okay.
like maybe dumb luck leads to him leaning on something important. I don't know.
I will say, Norman, if you could roll me an intelligence check as you scout out the nearby area. It does require your navigation. You do have advantage on this check. Try and make sure you roll intelligence and not initiative. 19 and a 4. So you scour the nearby grounds, and whilst you do not find a sign pointing to an entrance, you do discover something pretty interesting. You notice a group of hobgoblins that are patrolling. Roll me a dex check. They haven't spotted you. You're hiding behind a rock. You're looking down at them from above. There are 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. They are walking along, looking around. They seem to be talking quietly to one another. Unfortunately, from this distance, you can't make out what they're saying.
Am I directly above them right now?
You're not too far from them. I would say that you are directly above them. Yes. Or
Is
you
there
would
a
be
large-
you would be in 5 for, a few seconds.
Is there a large rock that I could possibly push onto the group?
You are hiding behind a large rock.
I would like to push this large, like how large? Like boulder size? Like,
Boulder size. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna push the boulder-sized rock off onto the hobgoblins.
Alright. Well, Norman, the ranger. Let's see if you have grit or not. Roll me a strength check.
Apparently, I don't.
As you start trying to push the rock, the hobgoblins, hearing this, now begin to... Well, one of them moves out of the way and kind of like tries to figure out what's going on. The other 2 just kind of stand there, unsure. Roll again. As suddenly it shifts over the top and crushes 2 of the hobgoblins. The third one, in panic, begins to bolt.
I'm gonna toss a javelin at him and try to hit him in the leg.
You kind of pause for a moment as he's running forward. You kind of figure out what the wind is like, and then you throw a javelin through the air. Roll an attack. It misses. Hits the ground. The hobgoblin keeps running and escapes.
All right, I'm gonna let him go. I am gonna go down and grab the hands, and then return to the party and inform them of what happened.
You chop off the hands. Is there anything else you do before you leave?
Did they have any interesting loot on them besides that? I imagine most of the shit would just be completely splattered.
One of them had a satchel that seemed to have not been crushed by the boulder.
I grab the satchel and see what's inside.
There are slag rock, so pieces of rock, and there are glimmering pieces of light, little minerals flickering on the slag rock. They seem to have found something, these hobgoblins.
All right, I'm gonna take this back, and I'm gonna bring this this pouch to the prospectors and ask them if they know what it is.
Sure. You bring it back, and on your way back, you feel a source of inspiration coming from the Dungeon Master as you are given a luck point for being very creative. Congratulations.
Thank you, Loki.
But you arrive back, a bit sweaty. Rest of the party none the wiser of what has occurred for you. You see Duncan cracking jokes at Alistair's expense. But more importantly, Alistair, the time that you've spent examining this statue, you do not discover any secret passageways. It seems to be a marker, a way of indicating maybe to the ancient people that they are not far from the source of this location. But I will say, Alistair, and I'm gonna pose now something to you, not because I think you're stupid, I think the opposite, but I want you to come to the conclusion yourself, okay? If there is a statue of an ancient god located here, what does that tell you about what could be nearby?
I assume a sort of ancient temple or monastery complex sort of
Maybe.
building.
That's what you're thinking. And I say this without you having to really roll. I know you rolled a natural one before, but your character is intelligent. And I think we should be able to play on the passive intelligence and wisdom of characters, right? Your character's smart. That's what you're thinking.
Okay, so I wish to, like, I assumed we moved on a bit ahead towards the statue and the rest of the group is still together somewhere, so I...
No, everybody's kind of near the statue right now. The
Okay, in
prospectors
that
are like...
case,
Miles is like pulling off his boot to get all the rocks out.
I want to ask the prospectors, well, this this mine where we're looking for, do you happen to know of it being near any sort of old temple complex, or perhaps has it perhaps been used for some religious purposes? Because this statue seems to indicate ancient religious activity in the area.
Miles shrugs, and George says, from what we've been told, we don't really know of such a place. The rumours is that there is an ancient mine up in these hills. If there is anything else, who knows?
Well, there is an ancient statue here, and I assume it might be related to other constructs being nearby. Perhaps this mine is not an isolated building thing, sign of ancient activity here.
I don't
Perhaps...
think it's wise to get caught up with things that aren't to do with our mission. And as he says this, Miles comes over and says, well, give him a second, George. Wizard, do you think there might be treasure there?
It's very likely there would be the remains of offerings, perhaps golden statues or things that were made to appease the gods. the ancient people were very, very fond of such kind of offerings. Perhaps we could find these, and especially with age, they've become even more valuable than they would have been back then.
The two men kind of nod, but they don't seem fully convinced. They're going to require a charisma check from somebody. Does anybody have anything they want to say to these men to try and kind of get them on board with whatever you guys decide to do? Maybe even you, Norman, as you arrive back with slag rocks in the satchel. You seem to be doing well so far with charisma challenges.
Well, the first thing I want to do here, now that I'm back, is I want to figure out what exactly these rocks are. Do I know off the bat of my head here if are these like silver or are these like something different?
Are you I don't think you have any experience in the mines, do you? You're not a miner. You're not a real labourer. You're more of a militiaman, right?
Yeah, essentially.
Make an intelligence check. See what you roll. Maybe you do. But most commoners in my worlds are illiterate. Yeah, you're not well educated. You don't have a lot of knowledge. It's mainly wizards and priests that have knowledge. They're the ones who know things because they're the ones who read books. 15. Pretty fucking good. Looking at it, you get the impression it's probably silver or iron. Based on the colour, right? It kind of gives it away.
Yeah, I go over to the party. Saw a scouting party of hobgoblins. I managed to dispatch a couple of them. They were carrying this. Looks like we're not the first people coming to this claim here.
And they now kind of both glance at what you've brought here. And Miles says, "You've actually found something. Fucking hell. Didn't realise we were going to find something so soon." You want to show him?
Show the bag.
Yeah.
Yep. I dump it out. Yeah. I'm not the one who found exactly where this shit came from, though. It was the hobgoblins. I think they're if we're really unlucky here, they might have started an operation on your territory.
Miles kind of chuckles at you saying, your territory. But George seems very serious. It's like, yes, it is our territory. And George follows up by saying, "This is concerning news. If there are already monsters mining this place, it could reduce the value to the Lord. We need to make sure and figure out if this is true or not."
We shouldn't dally here much longer. One of them got away. Who knows? He might be coming back with reinforcements. But we should probably set up camp a decent way away from this place.
And it's worth mentioning, the Miles says, "I'm pretty tired. I don't think I can do much walking. If I walk any further now, I'm going to be really tired tomorrow. We need to set up camp now."
I'm gonna try to. Can I try to make that remedy again?
Sure.
Nope, still can't do it.
I do have to agree with Miles. I say, down here, we're quite nestled and tucked away. We set up a light camp. We have a shovel. Perhaps we can try and make a bit of an earthen wall. Something that we can hide behind if shit hits the fan.
That'd be a good idea. I suggest we take watches tonight.
We'll stay with the statue. I haven't seen anything whilst we've been up in these hills. I don't think anybody else has. Obviously, you're the only one who's seen something. And we'll just sit tight. So, that in mind, you guys now set up camp. Who would like to be involved in base building right now? Constructing some basic defences.
I will. I'm a soldier. I probably have experience with this.
Cool. Yeah.
I'll also pitch in what I can.
Yeah.
Might as well help out.
It's mainly one of you needs to kind of direct, and that's intelligence. The others need to haul, and that's strength. Like hauling things from one place to another, like digging up dirt, making a, like a wall.
Mhm.
Who would like to do what?
I got +2 to intelligence. Does Alistair top that?
I do actually.
All right, you direct, and the rest of us will kind of just help haul things around.
I'll grab
Yes,
the mining pick to break up some dirt.
I
and
will.
make
I
it
will.
easier for them to shovel.
I will say, I don't think Alistair would be very experienced in something like this. Sure, he's intelligent, but
Yeah, like I'd probably be able to, with some time, figure out how to build a very defensive wall. But to just on the spot give directions for wall building, that's not really something that that's in the curriculum of the wizard school.
All right, maybe I should be the one to do it then.
yeah, roll it.
I think I actually. Well, would this be classified as bushcraft?
Oh, you're pushing it. Then go on then.
Alrighty.
13.
13.
Right. The rest of you guys who are involved in the labour side of it can roll me a strength check.
Does
got a
grit
foot?
work?
Does grit work? Yeah, it is. It is a strength challenge. I'd say you get grit. Not that it helps Duncan, unfortunately. It does help you. 15. So you guys work together and you make a bit of an earthen wall, and that kind of protects one flank, one side of your camp. Other than that, you didn't really have enough time to make anything else. But be aware, guys, there are definitely opportunities in the future to learn how to do certain things, like build traps, like pitfalls, and things of the such. There are probably instructors in various settlements that you can pay to learn such things. But albeit, you've made some defences. You now settle in for the night. Let's have a look at the counter. I really quickly want to check to see how many times I'm going to have to roll for a random encounter, because this is the most dangerous it has been. Okay. Good to know. I'm going to roll publicly. You've got a roll for every hour, guys. There's 8 hours. 8 checks. You ready?
As
Let's
I'll
go.
ever be.
Yes, sir.
Hour 1. Nothing happens. Hour 2. Nothing happens. As we get to this point, I want you guys to make sure that you've marked off 4 more rations, please.
Alright, I've got 3 of them. I'll just mark the rest of those off, and the wizard can eat one from his own satchel, yeah?
Yes, that leaves me with only 1 ration.
Indeed. You guys know what you're going to need to do tomorrow, yeah?
Start hunting.
Looking for food. You can do it. Once you go into a hex, and I've told you that you've moved out, you can say, can we hunt? Can we forage? Can we look for water? Can we do these basic survival things that we need to do in order to survive as characters when we do not have enough money to buy enough rations? But the night continues. 3rd hour. 4th hour. You're half way, and nothing has yet happened, but you feel a sense of dread culminating in the air around you. You wonder, Norman, will that one hobgoblin bring reinforcements? Will they find you? Will you once again avoid bloodshed? The 5th hour now runs by. Nothing. 6th. Nothing. 2 more hours as the sun now slowly begins to rise up into the sky. Dawn is upon you all, and many of you are sound asleep, curled up around the fire, snoring, dreaming of better days. 7. Nothing. 1 final check before you all wake up. And it's now morning. You're all awake. So with that in mind, guys, the hobgoblins on your doorstep, the secrets of these hills, almost visible, revealed. We'll end the session right there this week. We'll pick up next week and see where this adventure goes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Ding,
thank you very
ding.
much.
Alrighty, and thank you to the chat. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. If you're interested in joining, check out what I put in the description. We're still looking for a couple more players. It'd be great to get some people in. But thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'm sure the players are happy to see you guys here too. We had quite a lot of people watching today, guys. We had like 14, 15 people at one point. Pretty good.
Oh, good stuff.
Awesome. Nice.
We could do with a cleric, honestly. It means you guys can be a little bit more ballsy, can't you? You can't be very ballsy at the moment with what you've
I
got.
couldn't anyway.
Yeah.
I can get people back up and like that's it.
Yeah, I mean there are definitely other things. It's not to say that there won't be items that might be able to heal and shrines and things that you can maybe pray to give you certain boons. But anyway, we'll see what happens next week. I've got a really interesting adventure, and it's surprisingly not one that I've made. It's actually one that is highly reputed on the Shadowdark drive-through RPG space, and I want to see how good it is. I want to give it a review. I might actually review it on the channel, so we'll see. Maybe you guys could tell me what you think of it at the end. But obviously everything up until this point has been pretty homebrew. The actual adventure is going to be starting soon. Because remember, guys,
Alright.
Shadowdark is mostly dungeons, so most of the adventures are dungeon related.
Alright,
guys,
well, I should
thank you very
probably
much.
get going here. But thank you so much, Loki, and thank you to everybody who watched the stream. And yeah, all right, I'll see you all next week.
Yeah, see you next week. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll
See you, everybody.
guys next week.
You guys, bye.
Had a lot of fun today. Also, Loki, your Roll20 game is great.
Thanks, man. What do you mean by great?
I mean, I use Roll20 myself. I don't DM any online sessions. I just use it for so the players can see what they can see in a dungeon and stuff like that. But the way
Yeah.
you present your dungeons and the macros and the combats and the maps, it's pretty outstanding.
You know what's funny about that map that we just used? I made it on the fly.
You did?
Yeah.
It was a dungeon scroll map, right?
Yeah. I had like a template that I basically used that had a bit of scenery, and I deleted half of it, and then I just added a river through it, and then uploaded it. So
Damn.
yeah. And that's why I was kind of like stalling for time. I was getting you guys to role play and, trying to slow things down while still keeping you guys as focused as I could. I'm not amazing at multitasking, but I do try. And that way I'm able to pull something out of my ass, put down a nice map, have you guys have the visuals, and be able to roll dice. Cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it worked out great.
Appreciate it, man.
I can certainly feel myself trying to compensate for my low hit points and poor stats with roleplay. So I hope that's coming through.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there was a moment where I wanted to give both you and the other guy who just left. I wanted to give you guys both like a luck dice, but I felt like I was giving a lot of luck dice out by that point, and I wanted to calm myself down a little bit because I think I was being a little bit too overzealous with them. But I need to kind of remember that it's not 5e, and actually luck dice aren't really as strong as they are in 5th edition. They're I can kind of give them out as much as I want, and
That's
I can
actually
use.
one of the things I really like about Shadowdark and other like old school systems, which is
Yeah.
why I really want to move my own 5th edition game over to this. You can actually grant your players luck tokens or rewards without them becoming extremely powerful.
Yeah,
Like if you give your players a boon in 5th edition, they go from powerful to very powerful.
yeah.
While
I agree.
in Shadowdark, they're still random adventurers with a
When
nice boon.
when I was newer to DMing, I saw online a DM, one of these DM, 5e D&D 5e channels, advocate something called hero points, which is basically multiple stacked points of inspiration that you can use, and you can store like 3 of them at a time. And my players were like, "Oh, you should do this," and I thought, "Yeah, sure, that sounds really fun. Like, it's just a way for me to reward my players, right?" Well, you know what they did? My players would stack and have 3 inspirations each, wait for a big boss, and then just fucking nuke it, and have like advantage on all their attacks for like the first couple of rounds. And
Oh,
like
damn, that sucks, man.
and any time they would fail on something, they would like roll an inspiration so they could like try and like hit it, right? Try and win. And I realized, holy shit, I thought I was doing something that my players would like, that was like rewarding them, and they're just exploiting it to always win and to reduce the challenge of the scenarios. And I mean, I don't really blame them, but it was a bit like shit, because now, yeah.
Have you ever played Morkborg or any of their derivative systems?
I've heard of Mortborg, and I've heard that it's a little bit more brutal than
Yeah,
Shadowdark.
I've played. There's this guy. I forgot his name. He's a sort of publisher, and he created Pirate Borg, which is like a pirate version of Morkborg. And I've
Right.
DM'd it for a couple of friends for New Year's Eve. And it's the system where the players basically they're not powerful at all, and all of them have like 3 or 4 hit points, and they die pretty quickly. But there's this mechanic called Devil's Luck, and every Morkborg kind of system has its own version of it, and it's very powerful. You could like use it for re-rolling or to make one of your attacks do maximum damage,
Yeah.
or to negate an attack against you. But you have a limited amount of them, and because the system is so dangerous and deadly of itself, it makes them a very valuable resource. Like in 5e, you couldn't even try using that because it would just make powerful characters way more powerful.
Yeah.
But once the characters are random adventurers with in a dangerous world, then you can actually start giving your player characters some extra boons, and it actually feels like a valuable resource instead of what you previously said, some extra buff they can just stack in boss fights to make it all easy.
One thing that I allow my players to do in my campaigns currently, I haven't really done it in Shadowdark, but I think I'm going to start letting you guys do it because it's pretty fucking sick, is I allow people to expend inspirations in order to perform like some sort of heroic feat. And typically it's like doing reactions, because obviously 5e has a reaction system. I allow them to perform reactions that their character can't normally do, like bring up their shield to try and like block an attack for an ally who's almost down, or try and trip an enemy that's trying to run by, and I'll let them use their inspirations to try and do stuff like that. And I'm thinking that might not be a bad shout to allow that in Shadowdark. I think I have maybe in a couple of my one shots, maybe in like Golderheim type stuff.
Yeah, in Galderheim, you did occasionally do something like that, and I think it would be a really cool idea, exactly if you use it with luck points or something. Like you
Yeah.
shouldn't be able to use a reaction every single turn, but
But
as
doing
a
it as like a
reward for doing
one-off.
something cool,
Yeah.
I think it could really like it could save it could save a character or create like a really cool moment that just everybody likes.
Yeah.
And
what
I
I'm
think
thinking.
making it rare is what makes it important.
Yeah,
And what makes
I
it fun.
definitely agree. So yeah, I might do that. We'll see. Obviously the campaign's very new. Obviously, Duncan. I mean, it's worth mentioning that like obviously you're quite new to my campaigns and like how I run them. But one thing I will say is that as soon as you get into a dungeon, you level up very quick because you find a lot of treasure. So like
Fair enough.
that's like a big thing. Is that like there might be a couple of sessions where you don't really get a lot of experience because you're not getting any treasure, but then you go into a dungeon where there's like almost treasure in almost every single room, and then within half a session you're already level 2, and you're now like a quarter of the way to level 3. I think I had one session where I did a one shot. You might have been there, Cloderick, where the players gained like 24 experience points because they found like an epic sword that was worth 10
I do
XP.
remember we leveled up like
Yeah.
twice in one session. It was
Well,
was
So-
pretty cool.
if I live that long, I'll look forward to it.
We'll see, and be aware if you guys do die later on, you don't just go back to 1. I think there's always going to be like a base foundation level that you'll go back to, and it's probably going to be like half what the rest of the party are, right? Relatively speaking, you won't come in at the same level, but you won't come in at level 1, right? So if the party are level 3, you might come in at level 2, for example, if that makes sense. But it's
Yeah,
worth
that makes
mentioning.
sense. I believe previously you mentioned something like creating a sort of die to roll that determines the character's level in a range that's close to the party level, but not exactly the same. I think that
Yeah.
would be a pretty cool mechanic.
Oh yeah, Jink. So somebody in the chat you could put a time limit on an inspiration. I actually do that in my 5e games currently. Inspirations go on a long rest, so that's how I kind of control it in my campaign. It means that players who get inspirations are going to be looking for a way to use it before they go for a long rest, and it works really well at like stopping players from hoarding stuff. And I also find that it's very like underwhelming to hoard something for like 5 sessions and then use your inspiration during the big fight and then like fail the check. Like it's like,
In
why
in
did
fifth
why not
edition, I
hold
always
it?
say you can only have one inspiration at once, and it disappears either at the end of this session or at the end of the next session, depending on how far into the session we are when I grant it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Alright.
right. Before I go quickly, Loki. I've been recently, whilst I've been writing and making my mega dungeon just to keep myself busy at work.
Yeah.
I've been well because I want to make something to port into Shadowdark.
Right.
I've been taking a lot of inspiration from something that I think you might like.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of a game? It's a bit of a phenomena right now, so you probably have heard of it. Fear and Hunger.
Yeah, I have heard of that. Yeah.
It's particularly brutal. Not for the kiddies, but if you're, I've been loving just looking at some of the artwork, the creatures, the monsters, learning about the the grim lore of it. whilst riding my mega dungeon. And it's been really helpful when I've been stuck and not wanting to use a generic monster for my next encounter. I go and look at some of these, genuinely sick and twisted monsters, and I think that's really terrifying. I'm going to throw that
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah, it reminds me a bit of like Darkest Dungeon, right? That's what it
I love
reminds me of.
that too.
And I played Darkest Dungeon quite a bit, so I like those kind of games. I have already decided to add some unique monsters. One of them is pigmen. They're the old school orcs from like AD&D, but they're called pigmen, and they're one of the enemies that are in this part of the world that you guys are going to be in. But in terms of like sick and twisted creatures, there is a lich. There is a lich in this campaign. So, there's definitely the opportunity to have some very weird monsters and, things like that. Yeah, we'll see, won't we? We'll definitely see. Obviously, guys, you're dealing with hobgoblins right now. You don't really know what else could be out there in this area. Seemingly, it's more than just hobgoblins. But they are going to be probably the main threat for the next few sessions. And
Well, with my 3 hit points, I think hobgoblins are scary enough at the moment.
the good news is, there don't seem to be too many of them. That was quite a large war party that you came across, and you don't know what they're doing out there. But they were pretty quick to run away once they realized that you guys could fight.
Yeah, it felt like a really realistic encounter. Like they just happened upon us. They were testing out how strong we are, trying to kill us if they could, but running away when they figured out we actually managed to defend ourselves. It was pretty good for a random travel encounter.
It's more enjoyable than the enemies just throwing themselves at you until you're all dead, right?
Exactly.
Sh-
It just makes the world feel real.
I should put into context though. They ran away when they realized everyone else could defend themselves.
Yeah.
boy ate dirt and then got knocked out.
Well, I kind of like that because now I feel like in your character, and this is what I mean about like I've been wanting to, I mean, I don't know if you watched my previous video, but I think like I want more emergent story, like story stuff coming out of my games. I want you guys to create the story for your own characters, and this be the thing that you are focused on is developing your personal stories. And I think for Duncan, it's like you're a young guy. You're not well trained, and you've embarrassed yourself before, and you've embarrassed yourself now, and you want to be better. You want to be stronger. You want to prove to your peers and prove to yourself that you actually are a great warrior. You know?
Certainly, yeah, and definitely right now, I'm feeling the insecurity and the clinging of teenagehood and and certainly with his previous actions being not only cowardly but also somewhat morally bad when he abandoned those people in the mines, not the mines, the orcish prison.
Yeah.
Certainly, he's leaning towards the I want strength
Yeah.
thing out of the because he's currently, this is subject to change, on the chaotic side.
Yeah.
And his title is, at least to himself or to the people who may have still be in the orcish prison, the rat. So certainly he want strength and to become better, but it's probably more from a malicious or not malicious, but maybe a insecure point.
Yeah. This is like a thing that you're doing for yourself. You're very like self-servient, right? You're serving your own interests. It's your own personal interests rather than like doing it for the good of the realm. And that's fair enough. I think a lot of adventurers are like that, whether they want to admit it or not. But yeah, just for reference, guys, what I prep is the settlement and the buildings and the story, the kind of the idea of like the different places you can go to, right? But all the NPCs, a lot of them are improvised unless they're very important to the story. I'd say the Lord is pre-prepared and some of the major quest givers, but I tell you, those prospectors, it's emergent story. So whatever you guys do will dictate who you meet. And I can create anything out off the. I've got a lot of experience making characters. So
Certainly. Well, all right, guys. I'm gonna let you go. Thank you for the game, and I'll just check, real quick, if it'll open.
yeah, I
Here we
hope
go.
I hope we get everybody next week, but I'll probably. You're not gonna be here.
Unfortunately, I can't make next week.
What about the week after?
Most likely not.
Oh, rip, bro.
Because I work 4 days on, 4 days off, and it
Yeah.
shifts. So it's just shifted from now it's going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then it'll go Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah.
On and on.
Right.
Look, I'll see what I can do. If I'm working at a lax post, I might be able to use my phone internet. It just might be a bit shoddy.
That's better than nothing. That's better than nothing.
Either way,
The games don't last too long. It's 3 hours, and then we're done.
all right. Either way, thanks, guys. See you later.
So yeah, and I'm gonna end the
See
stream
you
now,
around.
guys. I'm gonna end the stream now. Thank you for watching the stream, guys. I'll see you guys next time on Loki's Lair. Till then.